Happy Saturday to all you wonderful people out there in cyberspace. Welcome to our very first edition of the Saturday Morning Cocktail Kickoff with myself, Mr. Daniel Pettey from Week Zero Sports and Other Stuff, my co-host, and Justin Riley from the Bama Standard video show every Tuesday night at about 7 o'clock Eastern, I believe. Is that correct, Justin?
Or whenever my co-hosts and guests decide that they want to jump on. But yeah, generally around that time, sure.
Yeah, if they gave out tardy slips, your co-host would be getting them quite regularly.
Absolutely, man. Well, guys, look, we've got a majorly big day in SEC football today. We got a couple excellent guests coming up in just a few minutes. But before we get started with all of our excellent football stuff, you know, this thing is called Saturday Morning Cocktail Kickoff. So what are you guys drinking this morning? Pettey? I know you got something. What's up?
Well, let me, well, hold on. I have a mouthful of popcorn because I got told to pop this shit last week, and I never got to eat it.
Oh, man. Well, you know, you can eat popcorn in sadness just as much as you can in happiness, Pettey.
But today is a new day. We don't have to face you knuckleheads this weekend, which makes me a little bit happier. We get that other A in Arkansas, and I'm going to have me another Bloody Mary this morning, Michael.
Another Bloody Mary or another 6 Bloody Marys? Who's keeping count on that today? We need to.
We got a counter. This is
we
one.
Need a Bloody Mary counter in the bottom right corner. That's Petty's Bloody Marys.
If our audience can correctly guess the amount of Bloody Marys that Pettey will on today, we might send them some paraphernalia.
Oh, right.
An over-under?
Got a couple good T-shirts in the works, actually, guys. I don't know if y'all know about that, but those will be coming out soon. And we've also got a really exciting special product that we're going to be telling you about next week. They didn't come in yet this week. It's going to be very exciting, guys. Justin?
What's up?
This was your idea, man. This show was you. So why don't you get us started on a little bit of talk about today's games before our guests get in here?
Wow, there's a pretty good slate of...
We missed the other cocktails. I am having coffee this morning. Saturday morning
only
cocktail.
one drinking?
Coffee, but special treat today. I normally drink, my house bourbon is Michter's bourbon, but they did not have that because the state of North Carolina has been shitting the bed majorly on alcohol sales in the last few months. So I had to go with their sour mash, which is not bad, and I think it's going to go great in my coffee later, guys.
Sweet.
Justin,
I'm starting things off with coffee. I mean, that's my staple every morning. Kind of got to go with tradition. However, I've got a nice bottle of 10-cup bourbon in the refrigerator, nicely chilled, waiting on me to do my thing.
Oh, they're going to break that thing open about 6:30 this evening, I guess?
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Well, sorry for throwing you off gear there, Justin. Let's get into some football. Get us started.
You completely derailed the train now, so
I love it. That's the goal.
So we're talking football. Hey, just for you gamblers out there, know that last week it was 3 in big cups. I'm in a small cup this week. Just so you know, if you're laying odds.
You got to know the handicapping, right? Because that matters. The size of the cup's going to matter in your guess on how many. And next week we'll get a little pool going on how many Bloody Marys Pettey can knock down.
Depends on who Ole Miss is playing. All right, Justin, we have derailed him like 3 times. Who's playing football today?
You have. I'm beginning to think that I'm kind of forgotten about Stepkid here, joining the Week Zero universe.
Well, it's a weird place where we live, man. So good luck trying to hang in there with us.
It certainly is. It's more like an experience rather than a place to live.
No doubt. Well, you know, one thing about this show that's kind of gotten me in trouble is I normally have like a last minute gambling session from about 10 till noon getting ready for those games, and I think I'm gonna have like 20 minutes today, so we better really hash out our gambling picks before this show is over so I can jump in and rapid fire those things to the book.
That sounds good to me.
Who's playing?
Well, first of all, for Alabama fans who are tuned in, Alabama and A&M, we're headed over to Kyle Field and playing the Fighting Jimbo Fishers, who are looking to have a little upset against the Tide, who seem to be getting together fairly nice in the defense right now. So,
well, we've had one game, 2 games in a row of good defense. Let's hope. Well,
listen, man. You know,
one of them was against a real good offense, though.
I don't want to get too overly excited about the defense putting it together because, as you know, we had a great game against Miami, and then we kind of took a step back. And then we got back up for Ole Miss. I guess, well, when they feel like it matters, that's when they get motivated and driven. So we'll see what kind of product we have today defensively, and then with the offense continue to grow, continue to shine. I am really looking to see who the second receiver is going to be for Alabama today, because John Mechie really hasn't been doing it. Mainly because maybe it's because he hadn't gotten things figured out, or maybe because there's not a solid number 2 to take the pressure off of him.
There it is.
That's one of the big things. Matter of fact, I think that's probably why we're seeing Bryce Young giving a lot of looks to Cameron Latu and Jaleel Billingsley.
Well, those are your number. That's your number 2.
That's our mismatch too, guys. I mean, here's the deal.
That's our number.
It seems to me that Bryce is finding the right mismatch in the secondary, or linebacker versus tight end, whatever it happens to be. So, I like that he's been a pretty good decision maker back there.
So I guess if you had to or pick a number 1 or number 2, it is probably Latu and Billingsley, because the other guys they're good, but they're not consistent. Still haven't seen that big game from John Mechie. Jamison Williams has yet to pull back-to-back successful trips. So I really need some consistency outside.
Well, here's something that you guys are going to find out today when we get our special guest, Tim Ham, on in a little while. He's from Sports Illustrated, but he covers Aggies pretty aggressively out there, and I'm sure he's the nicest guy alive, because every Aggie fan I've met since they joined the SEC has been pretty much amazing. A good friend of mine, one who may have just commented right there at the bottom about Aggie fans, like, we went to the very first game in 2013 where Jalston Fowler had that seal the deal touchdown at the end of the game there. And when we left that game, we had just beat the Aggies, and this guy unpacked his car to make us a hamburger because our ride hadn't got there yet. An Aggie fan. He was just so happy to see us there. We took a picture with Johnny Manziel's cutout. Like, it was crazy. They were the happiest people to get beat I've ever seen in my life.
Man,
you guys ever experienced Kyle Field?
No, that is definitely on my to-do list of college places to visit. Speaking of Johnny Manziel,
I don't know if I could make it.
Oh, you could. It's fantastic, man. When everybody grabs you by the shoulders and you start rocking back and forth, it feels a little weird at the beginning, like you're cheering for the other team. But like, if you don't do that, you're going to get knocked out of the stadium by all the shimmying bodies. So it's pretty.
So cool. They get the visitors in on that?
Oh, you can't help it. Like, if you don't go back and forth with them, you're going to get knocked back and forth. The entire stadium is doing that rocking thing. It's very, very cool. It's up there with Auburn's eagle flying around. It's pretty neat.
But amazingly, it has no factor on any games, because it can't be it's not intimidating. I don't care what anybody. I haven't been there, but I can tell you based off what I've seen since they've been in the SEC, it's not intimidating. When Mississippi State has a winning record there, when Ole Miss goes over there and wins regularly, Bama hasn't lost there. I mean, everybody in the SEC goes and wins there. So I mean, it's really. I'd like to go, I guess, because it's not intimidating.
Hold on, let me back you up a little bit, since you've never been there and I have. In defense of the 12th man, the team still has to be good enough to win too, Pettey. Okay? You can't just have the crowd win the game. So you can go in the loudest stadium on earth, and if the team sucks, they're not going to win. That is not the fault of the crowd. It is loud in there. It is crazy in there, but the team just doesn't pull out the
I think
that is not a claim on the fans, and I won't let you get by with that one.
They've had the teams. I mean, I've seen State was an underdog. Ole Miss is usually an underdog when they go under there. So I mean, I just not.
So you're saying this year that they've got the team?
Who? A&M?
Texas A&M. Yeah. I'm not following you, buddy.
No. I'm just saying they don't. They've had teams before that hadn't, like, they've had the talent and hadn't won there. Why haven't they won with all that talent and all that rocking and craziness? It's a shot. I'm really asking because I don't know. I don't understand why
it's
A&M's
crazy.
not a power.
There, they lost the game because they weren't as good at football, and that happens sometimes. You know what I mean? Auburn is the craziest place on earth, and they're not undefeated every year. So
yeah, but
that's the point I'm making.
I've seen that stadium have an effect on teams. I've never seen Kyle Field affect another team.
Maybe we would have won by 35 if it hadn't been for Kyle Field that year. You ever thought about that? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's nuts in there. And I'm going to tell you, they jumped out to a big lead because of that crowd energy that year. Johnny Manziel running around like a crazy man. It was nuts. And I'm not going to lie. Having been there, it is a unique place to watch football. And anybody, this guy's saying it right now too. Kyle Field is absolutely louder than Bryant Denny. That is very true. And
I would play in Kyle Field 1,000 times before I'd let my team step foot in Bryant Denny.
Oh my God, I just cracked the code. Here's the deal. They're so damn nice that they're just like he says right here, their crowd actually helps the opposing team.
That's right. They're too nice. That's it. You're too nice. And I'll say this, man, they are nice. They're nice people. It shocks. I don't understand why they're not better. They've got the money. They've got the resources. They've got the talent in the state.
Well, what they don't have, it seems like, is the coach. And that's one of the things we're going to have to talk to Mr. Lamb about earlier is how is the temperature of that seat down there? I can't wait to get his input on that, right?
And they have spent a lot of money to win big, and Jimbo was supposed to be, the guy that can compete with Mr. Saban.
It's not that he's just competing against Saban; he's competing against the SEC as a whole. It's in the ACC where it's just you and whoever may be good, in the second place running that year. This is the big boy league. This is NFL light.
Well, and now he's going to get to compete with, big brothers coming back into town. So it's going to just get a little bit harder. It's interesting, man.
Here's the thing. Before we get, give a little my analysis before the guest gets in here because we want to give them plenty of time to talk. But I've been watching this A&M team, and they are anemic on offense. It's really bad. And Jimbo, he was an offensive coordinator under Saban. He's supposed to be a quarterback coach, offensive guru. I haven't seen a quarterback with bigger eyes than Texas A&M's quarterback, especially against Arkansas. They made him look like he was completely lost. So if they don't pull some of that together, they might make our defense look good today.
I don't see how they can score on you guys, man. I just don't. I don't. With the I've watched them. I watched them against Colorado get shut down. I watched them get shut down by, I didn't watch them get shut down by Arkansas. You watched that, but I just watch State shut them down. I do not see how Alabama's the best they've faced. It could be a long day in Kyle Field for that offense.
Even if they do somehow get something going, their offense isn't really built to keep their foot on the gas. Meaning they can't really match whoever's in front of them, especially like in Alabama, who's a high-powered offense, who can beat you on the ground, beat you in the air, and however Saban sees fit to beat you.
Sure. Well, let me ask one more question. And I know this might make a little glimmer in Pettey and the rest of our Ole Miss fans' eyes, but after a big game, sometimes teams tend to have a little bit of a letdown or a little bit of hangover. And you know what? Whether anybody says it or looking at the results or not, that Ole Miss game last week was a big game. And Ole Miss fans ought to take that as a huge compliment because I'm going to tell you something. It's been a long time since the Crimson Tide people got nervous when Ole Miss was coming in town, considered it one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game of the year on our schedule. And, we came out with the victory, but that is not a lack of respect. And will that have any impact on Alabama today? Probably not.
When Nick Saban, I think, what did Nick Saban said he felt like this was a trap game? So it's not. He's let his team know it's not a trap game.
He may have been trying to put a little triage in there. Maybe he's seeing his team running around having too much fun on the field this week and not playing business as usual.
Funny you say that because that's exactly what happened after Miami. Team drew lofty praise. Getting the blessing of everybody in the whole college football world. They were feeling themselves. Mm-hmm. And he had a hard time kind of reeling them back in. So you got to wonder, is he going to have to face the same situation now, or does he have them finally in business mode?
Yeah, either A, he was trying to prevent that type of behavior, or B, he saw it and he was trying to fix it. Either one of those doesn't make me super comfortable. It's a big line. It's 18 today. But again, if Texas A&M can't get 14 on the board, that's a lot.
Hey, on the flip side, man, it's funny y'all talk about the team being let down, and Michael, you mentioned Ole Miss playing Bama. Ole Miss has got Arkansas today. Something that kind of is strong in my mind when I look at the schedule. You're not looking forward. You don't always look past, but hey, Alabama can sometimes cost a team 2 games. I'm like, crap. So we've got Arkansas after, which is always a wonky game for Ole Miss. Is Alabama going to cost us, you go to Bryant-Denny and then lose the next week because of it? We've got several injuries. We've got our offensive guard is not playing this week. Jerry and Ely's out with a concussion. But on the flip side, then I looked at the schedule and saw Arkansas was going to Georgia. That's the one solace, I think, as an Ole Miss fan, is you get to come home, and now Arkansas is licking its wounds after getting – look, Bama beat Ole Miss, but Ole Miss at least fought in that second half. They didn't give up. Arkansas never even put up a fight in that game, and I think they got a lot – and look, when 2 teams get beat, sounds kind of stupid, but I do believe Arkansas got a little more exposed than Ole Miss did. And I don't think look, they're going to try to emulate what Bama did, keep Ole Miss on the sideline, run the ball. But I'm not sure I'm not sure. I know for a fact they don't have the guns that Alabama does to do that. So the hope is, Ole Miss is going to be able to outscore them today. But again, it's funny y'all talk about the letdown from game to game, man. Playing Alabama it routinely costs football teams 2 games.
Sure, but again, I think that's completely, basically leveled out by the fact that Arkansas had to go even further than you guys did across the country last week, to get beat even worse.
Oh, yeah.
And to, there's a difference between a team that lost and a team that got whipped. You guys lost last week. Y'all didn't seem broken at the end of the game. You were still working your offense. It was business as usual. You weren't looking at the scoreboard. As soon as it got out of hand, Arkansas started looking at the scoreboard, realizing they weren't what they thought they were. And I think that might have a big impact on how they play this week. Now, having said that, Sam Pittman has surprised us a lot throughout the last 2 years. He has been probably the surprise of the SEC. We've talked about that several times. Does he have another game plan that's going to get Matt Corral out of his game this year? Or, like Kiffin last year, did he pull out all the stops against that offense and he hadn't got much left? That's really what I want to know. What do you think about it, Pettey, as an Ole Miss fan?
I don't think their defense. I say that, man. Old coach his name's now escaping me. The one from Missouri, Odom. That's their defensive coordinator. Is a great mind. So I would think that he would, again, watch the Bama film and say, "Hey, everybody's been going into that drop 8 to beat Ole Miss, and Alabama kind of shocked them and brought some pressure at times they weren't ready for." But if they do that drop 8, they don't have the talent on defense. And Corral, it shocked him that day. And that game, as bad as it was probably one of the best games that Matt Corral could have ever had in his life. It woke his ass up, and Kiffin was able to go in and put his arm around him and say, "It's going to be okay, buddy." And they've gotten better since then. He's faced nothing but defenses like that since. He faced one, a great one last Saturday. And when the pressure got on like it did in Arkansas last year in LSU, it like in Bryant Denny, he didn't throw the interception. So that's very encouraging as an Ole Miss fan. I expect it's the Kool-Aid, but I'm getting a little more confident that Ole Miss is going to be able to handle this one.
Those powder blue tinted glasses coming out.
Yeah, those powder blue glasses are and the Bloody Mary's starting to kick.
Well, let me say something real quick, guys. Our special guest is having a little bit of internet trouble right now, so we're going to keep rolling talking about this Ole Miss game until we get things figured out. We hope he can get a good enough connection out there. I do believe he's on location at the Red River Rivalry, which probably includes a lot of internet problems, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Bryant Denny on a Saturday, but it's like being in 1835. You're better off sending the Pony Express.
Come on, Jerry World, get it together. Get this man some internet. Brugge, you're right, man. And me and Michael kind of talked about this, and Justin. If Ole Miss makes that first fourth and 1 on that 4th and goal situation on the very first drive, you're probably looking at a completely different game.
Absolutely.
However, as that first quarter played on, even if Ole Miss scores there, I'm not sure. It may be a more competitive game. Hell, we may cover the spread, which would have made me even happier. The way Bama dominated the lines, I don't think by the 3rd and 4th quarter, Ole Miss wasn't going to be able to hang. I don't believe.
Here's a good deal, something for you to think about for Corral, and I'm kind of adding on to what you said earlier, Daniel. The thing about Matt Corral was last year, if you threw some things at him that he wasn't ready for, he would panic, he would try to reach, he would try to do things that weren't right, and he'd end up with several interceptions. I don't think he was ready for anything Alabama threw at him, and he still played a solid game. He did not give away the game. His passes were on point when he got them, when they were open.
When he had time.
The running game was actually working fairly well, like Justin pointed out on our show last week, and they kind of bailed on that, which I'm happy for it.
That's one of the bigger head scratchers for me in the game was, it was working and we couldn't stop the run, but he decides to just abandon it.
And Snoop Connor goes for 122 on y'all last year. He's more of a bigger back that can kind of, if we've got somebody that can kind of bump with Bama, it would be that guy, and we just didn't see him. It was shocking. I'm with you.
Hey, we don't have our Texas A&M guy here right now, but we've got a guy from the heart of Texas, and he is correcting us right now, Pettey. It's not Jerry World. They're playing in the Cotton Bowl, brother.
So they still play that in the old Cotton Bowl? I thought they had quit doing that and moved it to Jerry World. I guess I didn't know. I guess
maybe they reinforced that old place. That's like Legion Field old, right?
Oh yeah, the old Cotton Bowl. It's on the fairgrounds.
Sorry, I said Legion Field. Everybody just got a little sick feeling in their stomach from like the late '90s, I guess. But yeah, I don't know why they're not playing that in Jerry World. I guess it's the whole fair thing, right?
I guess so. So yeah, it's.
How can you get a fried Snicker bar before the game if it was in Jerry World? They don't sell those there.
That's right. Are you at the game, Brooke? You got who you got stake in on this, Brooke? You a hook 'em or boomer?
Well, that guy took me directly to my first game at Kyle Field, so I went with his family. It was a wonderful experience, and I ate my first kolache on the way, which is a Polish breakfast roll thing pretty damn good, to be perfectly honest. If you're ever on the way to Kyle Field, turn on your AC. It's incredibly hot there. And if our guy is not able to get on because of his internet connection, I'm not going to be able to ask him when they're going to turn that place into a dome, because if they don't turn it into a dome, I'm never going back unless it's in December.
Look, we've got hard-kicking questions. We need to know, like, what was said at Yale practice last night about Alabama.
Right, exactly. I want to know what's the angle.
I want to know
can we get some bulletin board material from the Yale practice?
Texas Jag fight. Best restaurant in Alabama's Taco Casa.
Taco Casa ain't bad. Don't get me.
Taco Casa.
No, I mean,
Taco Casa is not bad. It definitely tops Taco Bell, or Toxic Hell, as we called it.
Depends on the day, to be perfectly honest. Like, if they're in a hurry and you get that hard taco and it's mushy, that's
no
good.
Taco Casa
That's
isn't
a
as
little
good
too
as
much
Taco
salsa.
Bell. That's insane. That's only a Tuscaloosa person thing. Like, that's
Yeah.
a weird. No, Taco Bell's better than Taco Casa. That's goofy.
Don't question.
Oh, trust me. I just ticked off everybody in Tuscaloosa. If anybody from Tuscaloosa is watching, they just went
Taco
to a
Casa
rave.
was a big opportunity on that Bo Nix endorsement, right? They got beat to the punch.
Do they have Taco Casa in Auburn?
I don't think so.
I think it's just Tuscaloosa. I know they got one. Didn't they move one in Birmingham for the
Yes,
the
there-
Tuscaloosa?
It failed.
people?
There was
a few
one when I lived
locations-
there and it failed.
Yeah.
All right, so
it is
guys,
possible.
let's move on to some more games right here. We got a little derailed by our guests having some troubles there, and it's kind of messed up our schedule. But I want to reel us back in, and let's just kind of start talking about the rest of college football. We're going to get back into SEC when all of our guys get here. And there's a couple big games outside of the SEC today. One over in the B1G because they overranked a few teams and makes us look good, like a 3 versus 4. And then we've got another one over there against a team in Texas who's been annihilated by Arkansas and OU. So,
Yeah.
which game y'all want to start with first?
Has there ever been a 3-4 matchup less publicized than this Iowa Penn State thing?
Maybe
Like
it's just not hitting my feed since I don't live up there.
I've heard no one talk about or care about this game.
I think everybody's still initially in shock that Iowa was actually ranked number 3 in the country.
You got to put somebody there. Who are you going to put there?
I mean, you do, but I mean, the Hawkeyes aren't usually a team that inhabits that spot. So I think we're all still trying to, digest that. I know when I saw it, I had to make sure that I had an extra sip of coffee to wake up, because that was something I was see Sunday morning when the AP came out.
Well, look, here's the deal. I was a solid team this year. At home, they're especially difficult to beat. Again, we've said this a lot this year, and it continues to play out over and over and over. Home teams with a big crowd have a big advantage. Now, the team still has to be good enough to beat them, a la Texas A&M today. But we've seen crowds make a difference this year. One team that I saw, this really funny stat, hate to redirect us back over there, but there's one team who hasn't played in front of a real crowd and a real true away crowd in almost 2 years, and that's the Georgia Bulldogs.
No, and they're going to one this weekend at War Dam Eagle, the Native American burial grounds. And look, we just got a WDE from Coleman. He was mad. He said, nobody's giving his Tigers love right now. And, man, I said, you didn't listen to our podcast. Now, I know Justin, it's tougher. Justin probably fights it more than we do. But, look, everything points to Auburn being the best matchup Georgia's faced it on offense all season, defensively since Clemson. And we know what happened when they faced Clemson. They didn't score an offensive touchdown.
Right. And it's funny, I did some research, and, Michael, yeah, you were right. This is the highest rated offense that Georgia has faced this year.
Not even close.
The second ranked offense was ranked 83, and that was UAB.
Yeah.
Take that in consideration. A Bo Nix led offense is the best offense Georgia's faced.
Now,
no doubt their defense is good. Oh, go ahead, bud.
No, you're in it perfect. I didn't
No,
want to
no
disturb
doubt their defense is lights out. But who have they been lights out against?
Right. So look, now, first thing you have to do when you're looking at stats, when we have a small number of games in our population, is if you're really good on defense, everybody you play is going to be the worst offense on the first couple games, right? So part of the reason these offenses are ranking so bad is because they've played Georgia. But now that we've got 5 games under our belt and these teams still aren't rising up out of the bottom, I'm starting to see that it looks like Georgia is untested on defense. And that is something that we were mind blown to find out, to be perfectly honest. Now, in their defense, that Arkansas offense was ranked 54th going into that game. Still not very good. This Auburn offense, and was a shocker to me, is top 20. I had no idea that they were anywhere close to top 20 offense. But again, thinking about it, who really is this year? We're having a very odd year in college football when it comes to traditional powers and and stuff like that.
Traditional offensive powers at that too. I mean, you look at Oklahoma, who we've touched on already. Man, their offense is. It looks like that they went into a time warp. They're not putting. They're averaging 25 points a game. When's the last time that you saw an Oklahoma team averaging only 25 points a game?
Well, I can't remember. I mean, it's been that long. I really can't remember. They've always had such a lethal offense, and it's really just the quarterback position. He's just not quite there yet, Rattler. And I mean, I'm sure he's going to get better, and he's going to be awesome when he does, because that's what Lincoln Riley does with QBs down there. Same thing with that Ohio State quarterback up there that looks real clunky right now. They'll teach him how to put a little touch on his passes by the time he's a senior, and he'll be all good. You know what I mean? But
where was the pub coming on this Rattler kid? He was like the number one of the top 2 or 3 Heisman candidates preseason. So what did he do last year that he hadn't done this year?
Let's be honest, man. What did he really do last year?
Yeah,
I mean, I saw nothing that was just breathtaking and made me just stop what I was doing to watch his performances. He's been a media darling since the QB1 TV show, it's like it feels like every year in college football. Y'all may agree with me or may not. It feels like every year that they inaugurate one person to be the person they push and try to get us to believe is going to be that guy, when in all actuality they're really not. I mean, they're decent, but they're definitely not at the level that ESPN or whoever tries to push them.
It's a promotion. It's a promotion, though. It's no longer the best player on the best team. Hell, Mark Ingram cost the best a better running back from y'all's team the Heisman because he won it the year before, and they just didn't want to give it to another Bama player. If Mark Ingram doesn't win the Heisman, Trenton Richardson does.
Well, look,
because Trenton Richardson put up better numbers.
Before we get off quarterbacks, I wanted to jump in on this.
I didn't that was.
Generally when I see, especially since the Joe Burrow effect, when I see a quarterback that's supposed to be good not doing very good, I tend to try to say maybe it's the scheme, maybe it's the coach and everything. But we know for a fact that Oklahoma has a good scheme, and they have a lethal offense. So
they have
this guy, it's got to be the guy, right? It's got to be Rattler. It's got to be him. But having said all that, I still like Oklahoma today because I think Texas, when they get a chance to run up against an inferior team, they run up the score. When they run up against even a mediocre team, it starts making them problems. And we know Oklahoma's got more talent than most of the teams all the teams that Texas has played this year. So I'm really just going to go with talent in this one. It feels like a toss-up to me, but again, I'm just going to take the talent.
It does. It seems like a toss-up to me as well. People seem to be on both sides of it. There's a lot of love just coming from Texas. And, one of the good storylines is Texas quarterback. After they lost to Arkansas, they turned to the Thompson kid? And, he's a straight Oklahoma lineage. His dad was a quarterback for Barry Switzer. His brother was a quarterback at Oklahoma 10 years ago. And then he spurned them to go to Texas. And now he's starting. And since he's taken over, Texas's offense has kind of taken off. They've got a stud running back in that Bijan Robinson. I mean, he's a bowling ball.
You just sparked kind of a thought for me. Just last week we were talking about one of those quarterbacks who had kind of gotten dissed from an old team and was going back to match up with them. That was with the Auburn Tigers going down to LSU. Now, that kid didn't play very much, but Auburn won. No. So that's my point.
So you just took away moments of our time. We'll never get back with that awesome point. And by the way, Pettey, have you noticed that Michael likes to interrupt a lot? I'm beginning to get that vibe.
Oh, yeah, man.
That's the best way to do it, man. I got to keep you guys on track. If not, y'all will be out rambling about God knows what out there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you mean spitting facts while you go off on your tangents?
Man, we've got Auburn all up in the feed right now. What's up, Tigers? Y'all going to win today?
Well,
y'all
look,
going to shock the world?
One of our commenters, I'll put this one back on the table, and I want to get somebody's take on this because I don't know much about this situation. Does anyone know about Owen Popo at inside linebacker? And another thing in that UGA game, is Barrett going to be starting, or are they going back with Mr. Bennett?
That's a very good question.
Oh,
because it's going to take more than a 75-yard passing performance to take on the War Eagles.
Well,
yeah.
Look, like we said earlier, the Auburn rushing defense, we forgot to mention that. this is the first top 50 rushing defense that that Georgia has faced since Clemson, guys. And how many points did they get on that Clemson D?
3.
I believe it was 3, right? They got a defensive touchdown to seal that game.
And I mean, Georgia's got some studs at running back, but man, Auburn's got, I guess got Owen Popo coming back at linebacker.
They've been practicing against Tank Bigsby.
Oh yeah, he had. Is that why he was hurt? He had to hit Tank a few times. Oh man,
his backup.
Yeah, Jarquez Hunter. Man, that kid
Hunter.
is.
I like Hunter, man. That dude's a stud.
Hunter
He kind of gives you some glimpses of a younger Bo Jackson.
Ooh,
Is that too much Auburn fans to say that?
No.
To put that on him, but I love the kid. Kid out in Neshoba Central,
Yeah.
out here at Mississippi.
I've mentioned this a time or two, and I've done it in my writings. His high school coach is a good friend of mine that I went to high school with in Tuscaloosa, and he was telling me about this kid his sophomore, junior year. He said, Pettey, we've got a freak talent. And Ole Miss was in on him early, and I don't know what happened. I think it was during the Matt Luke time, and they missed out. I mean, look, the state of Mississippi missed out on that kid. He is a baller. But shoot, it gives Auburn that 1-2 punch that they've had my entire life. I know y'all don't like it, Alabama, but when has Auburn not had a 1-2 punch at running back that's been lethal? I've heard Stetson Bennett.
Stetson Bennett, I believe.
Stetson Bieber? Is he calling him Bieber?
He's going to throw touchdowns and sing baby.
That's a correction there. And we're still having technical difficulties on our Texas A&M guest, guys. Just want to keep y'all posted. We're hoping we can get him in before 10:15 when we got our next guest coming.
Yes.
I take it Auburn's getting pumped. Look, if I'm an Auburn fan, there's not a time where I get a team on the Indian burial ground and I don't feel like we got a shot. It gets weird down there.
That's their 12th man, that burial ground in the spirits of the Navajo.
You want to talk about a 12th man? It's those spirits that come out of that stadium at Auburn.
Yes.
Look, let me ask you guys a question. If Auburn pulls off the victory against Georgia, how much Penn State hype are we going to hear for the rest of the year?
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, Lord, I didn't even think about that.
I'm sure we're going to be force-fed that for the next month by ESPN until Penn State loses to a team they shouldn't.
That'll be today. Hopefully they'll lose today, right? They're going to lose today to Iowa.
Oh, Penn State to Iowa. They're going into Iowa. Yeah,
that's a hard place to play.
Place to win with that style of football that they play. Like Penn State had a really lethal offense, and they could go in there and kind of shut up the crowd. I give them a shot, and they're better. I do think Penn State, looking at both teams, is a little better, but I just think the home field advantage is going to get them.
Iowa's tough at home, like you said. They're a 3-yard and a cloud of dust mecca at 3-4. This is going to be awesome. But I think Penn State tries to stretch it out a little bit more. But I think
here's a question: when's the last time Iowa has played in a game of this magnitude? Was it the playoffs, or not the playoff? That year that Michigan State went to the college football playoff. Iowa and Michigan State tangled up in the Big Ten championship to determine who went. I think that might be the last meaningful game they've had.
Man, it's got to be. Frentz has got some kind of golden ticket at Iowa. He'll go 7-3, 3 or 4 years, but then he'll pop off a couple of 10-2s in that horrible conference. But man, they just keep paying that dude $5 million a year to do what he does. But I don't remember them being. I know there's been times where they've been in the top 10, but then something will happen. They'll lose to, Ohio State will pop them, or Michigan, or whoever else, Wisconsin. So I'm having a hard time remembering when Iowa played for a game of this magnitude. And if they win it, look, man, they're in the driver's seat. To be in one of those Final Four spots, that'll be weird seeing Iowa.
Right. You got also Michigan, and while we're in the B1G, you've got Michigan up there going against Nebraska today on what seems to be a suspiciously small
line.
Suspiciously small line. We even called that our WTF back in the Week 0 podcast last Thursday.
Well, there's a guy on Rebel Grove that's pretty good at picking, and there's a big gambling thread, and there's a couple guys that I think are pretty sharp usually, and they're on Nebraska. So I don't know, man.
Look, Nebraska D-line is pretty mean. That's really the only strength I see on that team. Michigan's going to try to run the ball like it's 1935 every single play. They're going to run and punt, run and punt, run and punt. That's not the game you want to play against Nebraska, and I think that's why the line's so small.
You've said it all year. Nebraska doesn't have anything but a defensive line. Michigan is a straight old school pro style offense under Harbaugh. They're run it, play action.
Run it, play action.
This is a team that, they get in front of all that sea of red and all the corn on their heads, and a fumble goes wrong, and that quarterback that's been at Nebraska for 27 years, Martinez, hits one of the 7 passes he'll hit.
Do they just
and
clone that guy?
It could get funny.
Clone that guy every 4 years? Like, what's going on? I do not understand.
And why would you clone that one?
Right. Go back to the 90s. Get Frazier.
Yeah, clone a good one.
Oh wow.
Yeah. If you're gonna clone one, I mean,
he's gonna clone the guy that he took. Didn't Frost take over for Frazier in the 90s? Isn't that who he replaced?
No.
Was he one later than that?
Was there someone between Frost and Frazier?
Does Frost get that signature win today? I mean, would this count as a signature win if he beats Nebraska?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
If he beats the top 10 Michigan, I don't know. He's going to have to start winning more consistently.
All right. Well, real quick as a fun just exercise, if you had to pick between those two games, Pettey, you're going in, not even counting the lines because they're so close to 0. Let's just say who's going to win. And I think I know your answer on Iowa, Penn State.
Mm-hmm. I think Iowa's going to win that one.
Okay. And then in Michigan, Nebraska, who do you think pulls out the actual win?
I think Nebraska. I mean, I'm going with Michigan. I can't go with Nebraska. They're not good. I think I think people have, because of how bad Michigan Michigan never doing it under Harbaugh, they've kind of shortchanged them this year. So I'm going with Michigan until they prove me wrong. I've kind of rode them for a while.
Yeah, I like them. I don't like the line. I don't like -3.5. I could see Michigan kicking a crappy field goal at the end of this game to win it 20-17 or something stupid like that.
It's 5,000, Stephen.
Hey, Michael, you were right. Scott Frost did take the reins from Tommy Frazier in 1996.
Credit to Pettey, not me.
Oh, sorry, Pettey.
Encyclopedia. Yeah. When your team sucks, you watch everybody else and learn them.
I love it. Now, how much popcorn did you bring today, Pettey? Are you going to run out?
Hell no. This is a big-ass box. I got the whole show's worth.
He's getting Can we talk overflow. He's getting the overflow from Kippen's office.
Number one is almost done. We're about to be heading to number 2.
Well, can we talk a little bit about that popcorn comment and how it seemed to fall so flat on its face during the game, but it has been one of the best guerrilla marketing techniques that we've seen in football this year, right? I mean, everybody's on it. Popcorn everywhere. You say the word popcorn, you think Ole Miss. I mean, they took an American staple and made it their own with one really poorly delivered mic drop.
Well, and that's where Kiffin, you got to love him. He knew what he was doing. He said this, he claims that he got it from a player before. I'm not sold. I'm buying that. I think Kiffin said, look, this is either, and he knew if it falls flat, I'm going to have to own it and play it. So I think he knew going in, this is either I'm going to win this game, and this is going to be a T-shirt everybody has in the country that Lane Kiffin beat Bama, get your popcorn, or I'm going to be the joke, and Big Al's going to have a damn popcorn box on by the third quarter, which is masterful.
Well, I'll tell you, Pettey, if he'd have spent more time planning his football game plan than planning his popcorn strategy, we might have had a different game, right?
Well, I don't think he spent that much time.
I don't think he was thinking about it that much is my point. I think he got lucky. Once it didn't work, he, as the genius he is on social media, he owned it. Anytime you screw up real big, if you own it, it seems to be a little more endearing. And, man, he's done a great job of doing that. His response was pretty priceless.
Yeah, don't take yourself serious. Laugh at yourself. Hell, he realized in seconds that he screwed up. I know y'all have heard it. He got on the headset and told the offensive coordinator, "Hey, I just said something really stupid. I hope you score a lot of points."
That's great.
Back my ass up. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry, guys. I've got to get some ice. Y'all can proceed with. But no, I think I'm going with Michigan and Iowa in the B crap G.
Okay, I like it. What do you think about it, Justin? First off, let's be honest. Pettey and I are full of shit when it comes to our football analysis. Yeah. Justin's kind of on point and actually uses facts. So let's see what you think about these two games.
Well, first of all, y'all's little diversion onto that little trail right there went so crazy that I almost forgot what the original point was.
I did too, but see, I remembered. Steel trap.
y'all's little rabbit hole into Wonderland sometimes is a hard thing to escape.
Wait till the Bloody Marys keep flowing. It just gets better.
Now, audience, have y'all given a count yet about how many you think he's going to take down today? Remember, we got some paraphernalia on the line.
Zing Zang, if you guys want to sponsor a show, it looks like we've got a guy for you here.
Zing Zang. The taste
we do,
of
man.
All right,
every
well, let me
Rebel
get out of the
champion.
B1G. I just got to hear your take on these two games because you know I'm gambling and I want to make some money, Justin. So go ahead and give me your take on those two games before we can get out of this.
I don't know,
nasty
man. I don't know if
B1G.
I can freely give that information because last week I tried to impart some wisdom and you completely denied it, and I was right.
Oh, that's the best part. Yeah, exactly. I can't just let you get away with like facts.
Man, I was
What wisdom you talking about? What game?
the Georgia-Arkansas game.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
was
everybody's
on
heard
point
about
with
that.
that.
Petty said I can't eat any more crow. I had a whole plate full in first quarter.
Yeah, I had to,
We're
I had
moving
to
on.
cut his crow eating off.
So yeah, I mean. All right, so the Michigan game, man, I don't know. It could really go either way. I wanted to get behind what Harbaugh's doing, but it's hard for me to.
Well, because he's such a clown.
Here's the thing.
And the khaki pants are more on more what's
Dude,
the word
it's-
I'm looking for on
too-
display than his actual coaching ability is.
Well, who has an easier job than Big Ten handicappers in the world? All they do is just say home team -3 and move on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. That's how you handicap the Big Ten. Home team -3, moving on. Unless it's Ohio State, then it's -40.
Yeah. Except for now, you got a big line
I'm
against
take Iowa today.
You like Iowa? Good. I
like
That's
Iowa.
3 for 3
Just
on
'cause-
Iowa, guys.
Just because of the home field advantage, and it's a hard place to play. And I don't think that the Penn State's ready for a big game like this. Like we said earlier, they always find a game like this to lose. So my faith in them is really not that strong. So I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes.
Hawkeyes, and then you're just gonna flip a coin and take Michigan too because it's a toss-up.
That's essentially what you have to do when making a decision with these two teams.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't put money on it. Yeah.
Not near degenerate. Speaking of, man, one more. I'm gonna throw out one more B1G game. We people have kind of written off Ohio State. Their new quarterback, their rookie quarterback is gonna be good eventually or get better. Maryland, they're favored by 21 over Maryland today. I actually kind of like Ohio State in that game to cover. I think they kick the crap out of Maryland.
Little Tagovailoa, when he gets shook, he starts throwing interceptions.
There's a reason he transferred.
Yeah.
Man, I hated it. I remember watching him in warm-ups when he was at Bama, and then I was working in like North Alabama, and you'd hear the Bama fans that just always they get the mythical stories that grow as it gets out of Tuscaloosa, and he's like, I hear Talia's better than Tua. I said, buddy, you haven't watched him you haven't watched him warm up then, because no, they're not you can watch the ball come out of a kid's hand and see it's different, and Talia didn't throw it. He didn't spin it like Tua did, and it's showing.
I enjoyed watching him when he played at Thompson, and I was excited to have him there. But Talia he just wasn't at the same level as his brother. I mean, no knock against him. I mean,
No, his brother's special. His brother's one of the
Absolutely.
top quarterbacks to play college football in the last 10 years, 20 years. So,
Well, guys, at this point, we're pretty close to having our next guest come on. So, one thing I've got to say before we jump in there, and we got a good comment there that derailed me. Is Bama going to embarrass Jimbo at their own place in College Station?
yes. You don't talk shit to Saban before the season. People like to make the Kiffin Saban stuff. Jimbo made the dumbest comment preseason. It got caught on tape, him saying he's going to kick the shit out of Alabama. And look, I don't fault a coach for trying to fire up your fan base at these alumni things, but your alumni needs to be a little bit smarter about recording what he says and getting it out to the public. Like, come on, alumni. He's saying that just to get you fired up. Did you either you wanted him to get fired and your team to get kicked, or because you don't? I mean, if we've learned anything, you don't give Nick Saban bulletin board material.
No, absolutely not. And while we're in the Bama game, okay, guys, we're about to have a guest come in pretty soon, so let's prime the pump a little bit. And Justin, you may not get time to give us the breakdown for today toward the end because we're going to be close on time at the end. So let's get your full breakdown of today's Bama versus Texas A&M game since you are our Bama guru here.
Since I'm a guru. Well, on the Texas A&M side, I've been kind of looking at everything. Haynes King and Zach Calzada battled out for the QB1 spot. And since taking over those duties, Calzada has been inconsistent at best. And quite frankly, has wilted under pressure. So I'm kind of wondering what's the disconnect there, and what's Jimbo going to do to correct it? I mean, I know that playing against Alabama, it's kind of hard to make corrections that quick to be able to go against a defense of that caliber. By the way, who has combined 20 tackles for loss by Mr. Fedarian Mathis and Byron Young and Will Anderson. No reason to respect the pass because they're just sitting in the passing game, and it's crazy because they have some decent receivers. They're just not getting the ball. Mm-hmm. And the more surprising of that is Jalen Weidermeyer, going to be probably a first round draft pick, but he's not getting anything thrown his way. And when he's actually made some drops. So how are they going to get him involved? That's a question. What kind of matchups is Jimbo going to draw up to put against this Alabama defense? Because he can be a matchup nightmare. Mm-hmm. But that's something we're going to have to see.
Will it be one of those Steven Garcia type weeks where a quarterback who's been basically shitty for his whole life turns around and plays out of his mind for one day? You know.
Please don't bring that South Carolina debacle back up. Gosh.
Not a prayer.
Not a prayer. Just throw him the ball.
Crazy thing was, man, that he was out of the league and out of football the year after because he couldn't get himself together. So
he just needed to play one good game, and he did it. You know, he did it for the old ball coach.
And he has a spot, I think, on SEC Network because of that. So, but real surprising, right? Man. The Aggies were shredded last week by Will Rogers at Mississippi State. Now they're facing Bryce Young. So what does their defensive coordinator Elko draw up to create problems for him? Bryce Young is a way different animal than Will Rogers. So what kind of answer are we going to have from the Aggies defense to take that on?
Well, the Aggies defense is probably a little bit frustrated. I think they're like the Clemson defense right now. They came in preseason. Everybody thought they were going to be great. It's hard to be great when your offense does not support you. You know, that defense is falling off right now the same way they are. So,
well, and the thing is, I think people are misunderstanding just how good that defense is simply because the offense is not keeping them off the field. The offense isn't doing anything. They're very talented, especially up front, man. DeMarvin Leal, Michael Clemens, and everybody on the defensive line, man. They're some monsters, but you know what? They can't play 80 to 100 plays and be crisp. So it's real hard for a really good defense to sustain when they're getting no production on the other side of the ball.
Well, the first 100 years of football, we heard, the best offense is a good defense, and it may be the other way around now. The best defense may be a good offense in this new football.
Was last weekend. Mm-hmm. And it absolutely was.
But yeah, like you said, that offense is absolutely anemic. They were held under 300 yards by MSU last week. Mississippi State.
Well, and State's always got a decent defense, though, man. State's always been gritty on D. That's one of their
they're good,
calling
but
cards.
I mean,
I've seen A&M play 2 games live this year. Can't remember who the first game was. Small team. They struggled to score. And then I watched them play Arkansas. And they might as well just punt it on first down every play. They'd had a better chance in that game.
Well, look, man, this is the simplistic view of it. So I read somebody on one of my Rebel Grove writers said this earlier this week. Vegas is built on idiots. I'm going to have to be an idiot. I don't see how A&M keeps this close. I don't. If Alabama shows up, the only way they don't is if Alabama has some mild letdown or sleepwalks, and I just don't see. Again, I don't see it. I see this.
Well, I'll give you a little insight. Since our Texas A&M guy who was supposed to balance this show out wasn't able to get a connection to come in here today, I'm going to put my crimson glasses on and tell you what's really going to happen. Shut out, 38-0.
Oh yeah, it's going to be an ass kicking.
That's it. That's what's going to happen today. It's going to be a shutout. I don't think Texas A&M gets on the board today.
No. Midnight yell practice just cost people sleep. That was about it. And brain cells.
Well, look, as you know, Pettey, leading into the game can be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I was
until the kickoff. So let the guys enjoy it. You know,
very true. Enjoy it up until kickoff.
Amazing how this went from a marquee matchup to basically a second-rate game, real quick.
This was supposed to be Bama's biggest game.
It's the fourth game SEC game on the slate now. Because it
crazy.
was supposed to be for the SEC West.
I mean, we believe right now, everybody. Let's rank the SEC West as it stands. You've got Alabama.
Then
you've got
big
Arkansas,
drop.
Ole Miss, and Auburn in the next tier. Right?
Yeah, big drop. Big drop. in those
LSU,
three.
Texas A&M in the next tier.
You got to have Mississippi State
Mississippi
above those
State,
two.
and then LSU,
Mississippi
Texas A&M.
State.
Yeah.
If Mississippi State would get out of their own way, they'd actually be a really decent team.
Yeah,
the
they've
only thing
just-
that stopped the Bulldogs has been themselves.
Oh yeah, missed opportunities. Well, the ref screwed them in Memphis, which I mean, the kid.
That's something that's out of their control. But as a whole, they always do something to shoot themselves.
Oh well,
in the
no.
foot.
Then against LSU, they controlled the clock. They kept their defense, kept their offense on the sideline. They just couldn't score in the red zone. So I mean, they should have. I mean, they were missed field goal from beating LSU.
I'm going to say something that probably everybody thinks, but nobody really ever says because the guy's been pretty innovative most of his career. But I think Mike Leach has lived on the fact that he had a pretty innovative offense and he is too lazy to prepare. He doesn't prepare but for 1 or 2 games a year, for real, the ones that he thinks he's got a good chance in. And he just kind of lollygags, it seems like, the rest of the time. It doesn't seem like the guy has, like, a lot of coaches are, like, intensely caring about everything. They're trying to control everything, and he just doesn't give a shit. He's just like, whatever, look at that big brawl. That was cool, huh? He just doesn't care.
Look at that big brawl. Let's take a selfie in the stands.
Exactly.
I don't think he'll beat the elite SEC teams ever. I don't. He didn't do it when he was at Texas Tech. When
1 per year. He'll get 1 per year, I think. That's kind of it. He'll come up for 1 game, and he'll get 1 per year. It may not be the elite team, but he'll get one.
Yeah,
good
one
enough
good win. Heck, he beat A&M on the road, so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
He got it this year. He had
Yeah,
LSU on the
Mississippi
road
State
last
beat-
year.
He's
And
packing it
Mississippi
in.
State, do you really have to be elite to be embraced by the fan base and to be kept there for a long period of time? No, you really don't.
Just beat Ole Miss every. Just
Win the in-state national championship. That's pretty
it.
much it, and they're happy with that.
yeah.
You know who's not happy with that? Auburn. I thought they would be happy just beating us every few times to keep Malzahn for a little while.
Auburn's a
they
bigger
pulled the
program
plug.
than that.
They want it all.
No, Auburn's tasted championships.
Yeah.
They know what they look. Y'all may live in the championship, but in spots in between there, Auburn's popped up in this y'all's run, which is crazy.
They have taken more championships away from Alabama than most teams have won.
Oh yeah, and that's again Malzahn. Yeah. Well, look, I don't want to take a shot at my own programs in my own state. I'll say it is what it is.
One of the things I'm really excited to see today, and the matchup is Rordell Williams. He apparently has been dubbed the number 2 now that Jason McClellan is out. We talked a little bit about this the other day, man. He kind of reminds me of Josh Jacobs and Mark Ingram combined into one. Powerful between the tackles, great burst, and also has that wiggle when he gets in the open field. Very versatile guy. He showed that in the A-Day game, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do today. Also, how much Trey Sanders are we going to see? I love Rordell, but Trey Sanders got that kind of feel-good story who came back from an injury that actually was a lot worse than what people had initially imagined. And now he's worked his way back onto the field. Do we finally get to see Trey do his thing? That's a big question. But here's an interesting fact. Did y'all realize that B-Rob and Rordell Williams are the first number 1 and number 2 running backs from the state of Alabama since 2004?
Whoa.
Majority of our guys,
Florida.
have come out of state, especially for the great state of Florida.
Mm-hmm. Florida's been feeding us a lot of good running backs, but no, I didn't know that. That's pretty good. I like to hear that.
And B-Rob's from the shadows of Bryant Denny too, right there at Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is this his? Is he one of those super seniors? Is this his like 6th year?
Yes, he is a super senior.
Gotcha. Well,
Well,
23-year-old man ought to
one
be able to
cool
run over
thing-
everybody out there. Is what I think.
I love him, man. He's like
I
one
do.
of those old school backs. And
He is.
just will hit you in the mouth, just tough. Great guy. One of the cool things I liked about Rordell was during his recruiting and during the height of it, reporters just kept on harping on Alabama missing the playoffs, as well as the championship, of course. They questioned, why would you go there? And his response was, with me there, that will never happen again. So this is a guy who loves playing for his home state, Crimson Tide. Got the right type of attitude. Some people think we're going to have a drop-off with Jace being out. I don't think so. I think that he and B-Rob are going to be a huge factor today. And why not just dominate time of possession again today? Last week we had the ball for 38 minutes. We averaged 32 minutes per contest. Let's keep doing what we do, and do just enough in the passing game, to keep them honest. And
you're going to have a hard time.
Why let A&M hang around longer than they should, man? Let's just go in and handle business, and let's start getting ready for the Bulldogs.
We're going to have a hard time not holding the time of possession in this game because of the terrible Texas A&M offense. Like, it's going to be a given. We're just going to have the ball most of the game in this. And if we don't, look out, because something crazy's happened.
Right.
Well, so when you were just mentioning something a minute ago about B-Rob and Rordell being our first two Bama running backs, 1 and 2, in over a decade. And that made me think about something. Many times we've gone down to the Plains in Auburn, and we have lost that game when we had more talent or when we had a better team. And I really, truly believe the reason for that is that they have more players from Alabama. And if you grow up in Alabama, it means more. And having all of these, half the team not coming from Alabama, they don't realize what they're about to walk into when they go to the Indian Burial Ground. Like, it is nuts in there, and it's going to be crazy. And I believe, truly, now in that it helps us to have the national talent in every other game. But in that one game right there, they have an advantage because they've got more people from Alabama.
Absolutely.
They do take it. And look, man, y'all were talking about the environments, and Auburn's one of the loudest outside of LSU is the loudest stadium I've been in on third downs. Those knuckleheads get loud. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephen Campbell, for bringing up my favorite topic.
Yeah.
And that is Coach O'Chizik.
He's done already.
He's done.
Now, but each loss is making that opportunity for him to get left in whichever state. Michael's got a prediction on where it happens. So
well, I do believe it. I think this is going to be after the Kentucky loss, win or lose. I mean, they're going in as an underdog to Kentucky. LSU is going as an underdog to Kentucky. Just say that to yourself a few times. So that's enough to let you know it's over.
Yeah.
Second,
yeah.
If they go in there and lose, that's when you're going to get the vote of confidence from the athletic director. And that's usually the 1 or 2 week precursor to getting canned. And I believe it's going to happen on the tarmac in Oxford. I don't think they're going to take him home. I think he's going to have to call a buddy from his old days in Oxford to have somewhere to spend the night.
I don't know if he has many. I think Coach O burned some bridges when he was over in Oxford. He did that y'all and brought in British Schaefer, and it just didn't work out.
Well, guys, the first time you do a live stream in a new show like this, there's obviously going to be some technical difficulties. And it seems that some of our guests are having trouble getting into our interface. Maybe we try a new streaming interface next time for this, guys. Also, we'll have to do a little testing before they get in there. Because our guy, Jalston Fowler, right now is trying his best to get on this stream, and he just can't get in. Jalston, if you're out there paying attention, if you see that button that says join stream, click that thing and see if you can get in here. One of those days, right?
Yeah, we got to get our Bama people in here. My rebel guy going to bring the thunder. We need our God, man, Jalston.
I want to go back to that crowd noise that you were talking about earlier. Can get a lot louder than even the swamp. So my question is, what kind of effect is that going to have on our offensive line? We saw Darian Dalcourt last night being affected by his surroundings, and good Lord, the high snaps. This is a much nastier defense we're going up against. And if we keep on having these problems with high snaps, man, that could spell disaster for Bryce Young.
I've got a solution to this. We just need to get him some risers in his shoes. Bryce needs to be about 6'2" anyway, and I think he's just snapping it to a regular-sized quarterback.
Is that what it is?
Are y'all hearing this, listeners? We've got Bama people trying to make this Texas A&M seem formidable today. It's kind of cute.
It's not. It's not
kind of cute.
It's not formidable. Crimson
They're not formidable. Listen, man, y'all are going to kick that ass.
Put that one in your parlay. Pick them.
Bama is going to roll that ass.
Coach Saban has our minds forged to be on the same process that his operates on, where we don't underhype anybody, we don't overhype anybody. He doesn't care. We're playing West Texas Library College. He's still going to act like it. They're still a threat. And I'm sorry,
you were like that SEC Shorts commercial that when they went on the blind date. I'm going to get my tickets for SEC Championship. Wait, you're already looking at? Oh, no. There's a process. Y'all have all been brainwashed to the players to the fans. It's the process. It's the process. I'll tell you about that damn process. Alabama's going to kick A&M's ass. They're going to kick whoever's ass they play next week, and then they're going to keep kicking ass. Then they go to the Indian Burial Grounds where it can get weird, and then they're going to go to the SEC Championship, play Georgia for the first time. Whoever wins that game will get a chance to repeat in the national championship game against each other, and that's how it goes. So y'all can spin this A&M shit. They suck. You're going to kill them. Sorry. Y'all.
You heard that from the powder blue glasses, too.
That's powder blue
I'll
glasses.
take it.
Wow, is that the same as that sissy blue?
Yeah. Hey, I love that sissy blue. That sissy blue done kicked Coach O's ass once. We're wearing that today, too, man. It's going to look good. Alan, did you ever see the Coach O commercials when you were living in Jackson, Justin, where he'd had the Hummer commercials?
Man,
Come out
that
and
was
talk to
a long
JoJo.
time
Get you a
ago.
Hummer.
Can you
Yes.
find that on the
Man,
internet
I
and
can't
get
believe
that
I
out for
forgot about
everybody?
that.
I'll find the Coach O
that
commercial.
comedy gold. Yes. Now that you bring it back, wow.
I missed the pit stop by Brinks. I did.
Well, who was he advertising for?
Hummer. Coach O
Oh,
was.
guess what? Guys, y'all want to see it?
Come down to Hummer and get. Yes. Can we show it?
Found it.
Let's
Can
see
we
if I can
show?
find that
Will we get a
video really
strike
quick.
or anything?
Can we show the world? No,
Yeah, we'll
man.
see.
It's
We'll
Coach
see.
O. I'll kick his ass. Don't
Well, y'all keep going. I'll look for it for a minute. Just don't mind me.
You know, I met
That'd be
him.
absolutely awesome, man.
I met him in Birmingham at a Ole Miss alumni thing, and my wife was like 7 months pregnant with my first kid, and he made everybody get up and do the breakdown, hut, 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 hut. And my wife looked at me and said, you know, she's a Bama person anyway. In fact, I drug her to that. It was madness. Coach O had her doing that. She has
My
not let
question
me forget.
is, more importantly, why is Saturday Night Live not capitalized on a character opportunity here?
They did, Mr. Peepers. He just grew.
My goodness.
Coach
That's
O's Mr.
great.
Peepers. He just turned into a football
Ladies and
coach.
gentlemen, where else can you find a Mr. Peepers reference on a Saturday morning than right here?
Hold tight, guys. Hold tight. I've got something for you. All right.
That's not a
I got
question,
something
Steven.
for you.
It's God's country, Oxford, Mississippi. Oh, can we hear it? Look at that crazy SOB.
Oh my God! And
Good quality
driving that-
camera.
he's driving that vehicle like he drives his offense.
That's 480p right there, guys. High definition.
Tell him JoJo sent you. Do we have the screen? We need the closed caption. There's no audio on the video, Michael.
Oh, y'all
We're not
didn't get
hearing
any
it.
audio?
No,
Well,
no
closed
audio.
caption. I think closed caption is rendered powerless whenever he speaks because no one understands it.
Alan,
Right.
yeah.
Except
He went
for
just
the coach
consonants.
from Waterboy.
Yeah, he went from Mr. Peepers to the coach of the Waterboy. He is the coach of the Waterboy. That is
Okay,
one and the same dude.
Well, yeah, that's old news. That's old news, guys. We've known that one. That's who they probably were trying to copy when they made that movie.
We can all agree on Steven's question that it's Oxford. I mean, it's not even a.
All right, guys. So we've got a surprise about to let in our guest, Jalston Fowler. I'm going to let you give him a good introduction, Justin. Bringing in Jalston right
What's
now.
up, man?
So,
What's
Justin,
up?
let him
Good
know.
morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Jalston. What's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, we have perhaps the greatest fullback to ever play at the University of Alabama and definitely to ever play for the Tennessee Titans. Two-time national champion, Pro Bowler, Mr. Jalston Fowler. Welcome in on a Saturday game day.
Oh yeah, game day definitely, man. Just waiting on my baby boy and them game to kick off.
Speaking of game day, man, how's the little one looking in his league, man? Talk
He
to us
looking
about
pretty
him.
good. He coming along. I mean, he wasn't late. He got in late. Got on the football team late. Actually playing pretty good football right now.
Is he just dominating everybody?
Nah, not yet. I'm trying to get him to be mean. He won't be mean.
We're looking forward to seeing him in red, right? Crimson.
We've been talking about playing at Kyle Field, man. If you would, it's a dangerous environment. Talk to us about playing at Kyle Field. As loud as that got, I mean, you played in probably one of the biggest matchups to ever come through that stadium. What was it like back in 2013, heading there?
Oh man, it was super loud. The crowd was super excited. I mean, especially when they found their way back into the game. I know we was leading pretty early, and they made a rally and came back. Mike Evans, I know Mike. With Mike Evans, he went deep on us. Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans, and they scored, and I think they tied it up. And Oh man, it got crazy in that stadium, man. You can barely hear yourself think.
Hey, I was there, and I know that very last touchdown you put in the end zone was quite loud in my little corner over there.
Oh yeah, when I snuck out that backfield and scored that final touchdown, I got a little quiet up in there.
Oh yeah, it was quiet everywhere in the stadium
Very
except for
quiet.
a tiny slice of us.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Speaking of that, man, how big was that game for you? You know, the previous year, you weren't because of injury. They came to Bryant-Denny. They snuck up. They beat us. Kind of took the wind out of our sail that week. How big of a deal was it for you to come back and get some revenge, but to also add your contribution to that game?
That's what I was seeking. I was seeking revenge, man. They came to Tuscaloosa and beat us, and we were just trying to win the game. And I was just trying to get some revenge, to get some payback, man. That was on my mind. I was like, they beat us in Tuscaloosa, and I'm just gonna make them pay right here. Like, we gotta win this game. Interview. Shit, I'm gonna talk to you. Hold on.
Tell him go tackle somebody. Hey, put the video on him. Tell him just go spear someone like you used to run over my rebels.
No, that's my oldest son right there.
Oh.
Talking to me. Yeah, my baby boy, he got there on the field. Yeah, they asked me what mouthpieces and stuff that I'm trying to talk to everybody and talk on the interview. I'm sorry.
Multitasking.
No, it's quite all right,
Important
man. We just
people.
decided to have you here.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Man, could anyone guard you whenever you came out of the backfield? It was absolutely amazing. It's like teams never had an answer for you. How were you able just to do what you wanted to at will?
See, the thing was, we always set them up with a play. We running the run play and make it seem like I'm running the run play and sneak out the backfield. They always came up with different ways to get on the goal line and run those. You know what I'm saying? Run those little sneak plays and design plays that we ran all week. And they the defense might have thought I was blocking, but hey, I'm sit there for about 2 seconds, then I'm gonna link out in the flat, so they had no answer for it. It always looked like a run, so we just sold them on the run, and they forget all about me.
That's a bad mistake.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to forget for someone to forget about you, man. You're probably one of the most visible guys on the field, breaking through holes, dragging folks. I mean, it's impossible to forget about you, brother.
Well, I'm sure they knew where he was and how to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knew where I was, but they just always thought I was blocking.
How cool is that, though? You talked about going in there to get revenge after the previous year in Bryant-Denny, and you get that catch, you're wide open in the flat, and you walk in. How cool is that? You've got a stadium of enemies yelling, and you just shut down the entire crowd as you run into the end zone. I never got a feeling like that. I'd love to know.
It's a special feeling, man. I mean, I can't explain. You want basically a walk-off, like a walk-off home run. The game over with. So
yeah.
That's pretty much how I feel. Like, nobody else coming behind you. They have no chance to score. I mean, and you score that winning touchdown, you like, oh, well, that's a walk-off home run. We know y'all not going to score anymore. We didn't leave you too much time, so hey, you gotta. Hey, it's a walk-off, baby. It's a walk-off.
That's right.
That's it.
Hey, is that what Lane Kiffin was trying to do when he dropped his headphones last week?
Yeah, he was there. He was.
Oh, no.
Get your popcorn ready.
Jalston.
What's up?
I'm a rebel, and I brought it today, and y'all burn it. Your tie just burnt my popcorn really bad.
Burn the popcorn really bad, yeah.
Man, I popped it like Coach told me to, and y'all just threw it in my face.
That's 8-day-old popcorn right there.
He forgot to put the popcorn in the microwave.
He sure did. He sure did. Hey, look, you better put it in the microwave when you walk into Bryant-Denny and face that defense.
Oh yeah, you better.
Okay.
You better be able to back everything you said up. If you can't, you in trouble.
Yo, if not, Big Al's gonna be wearing a popcorn basket by the third quarter.
Not paying attention to what I'm saying. He's right here in the blue bed.
That was definitely the highlight of the day for me.
Oh, that was awesome. Look, man, that was great. Look, you gotta, if you're gonna do it, you gotta own it when it comes at you.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, you got to.
Now, Jalston, these guys right here were giving me a hard time because of Coach Saban, in every game, regardless of who we play. he's going to say it's a trap game. He's going to try to, avoid the conversation of we're going to beat the hell out of whoever we're playing. Explain the process behind that and kind of back me up here, because I'm getting nowhere with these guys trying to convince them about his mentality when you never, downplay anyone.
Nah, he never downplays anyone because Coach Saban feel like, I guess in his early years when he was at Alabama and they lost a couple games, I guess the guys probably took the team for granted. Like, we're going to beat them. And I think that was 07. They lost like 6 games and they were losing against like bad teams. Like, and I guess he developed that mentality when that was happening, and he just didn't want to sneak up on the guys anymore. Like he was all about his business, because at any given time anybody could be anybody, especially if you're having a bad game.
Absolutely, no question. See, guys, it's not just me saying this. It's not just the.
But we're not playing, Justin,
as you say, Pettey.
Yeah, but we're not playing. I watch the machines play. I don't have to play it. I can tell y'all what the monsters and the machines that Saban creates are going to do, and they're going to roll that ass.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We need to get Saban a pair of our crimson colored glasses to put on so he can tell us what he really thinks sometimes.
So is he actually concerned about it when he makes the statement, this is a trap game, or is it just his way of kind of keeping everyone in check?
I think it's just his way of trying to keep everybody in check. Not to overdo it, overthink it, or just keep everybody calm and on the safe side.
If he is saying it's a trap game in practice, is he really riding it a little bit harder? Like, y'all better wake your butts up for this one.
Nah, he coached. He the same way every single game, every practice.
That's awesome.
Like he tell you to go hard all the time.
Never look at the scoreboard, right?
Like he don't play by none. He wants you to just focus and do what you do. No.
That's why that's why he keeps putting those rings on, right?
And she wants to take my phone, talking about some shark to do.
We got a special guest this week.
Can she sing the shark song for a rebel? Shark.
Yeah, go on your phone real quick, I'm finished. No, I'm on my phone. Let us sit in the car seat. I mean, on the screen.
Who got out of there?
This is awesome.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
This is as raw as it comes. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
Love it, Jalston, man. This is awesome.
So we talked about earlier that the soundbite that Lane Kiffin gave us with the popcorn comment. Man, what about the comment by Jimbo Fisher saying we're going to kick Bama's ass in the off season? How much of that actually feeds back to you guys in the locker room, and do y'all really get into the whole material bit?
We get into it, but not like that. I mean, when Coach Cochran was there, like he'll hang up some pictures and stuff like that, but like remind you of what they said and stuff like that. But as far as feeding into it, Coach Saban don't really feed into it. It'd be more the weight room staff and guys like that. But when Jimbo said that, and I seen what Coach Saban reaction was, it cracked me up, man.
At golf?
What, golf?
That was funny. That was funny as hell.
Yeah, that was the one time Saban didn't care about a little rat poison right there, huh?
What was the dumbest thing another team said where y'all kind of got, or there may not be one where you kind of got to get the last laugh?
I don't remember. I mean, didn't too many teams say anything.
They're smart.
I mean, you playing Alabama, so you don't want to get those guys riled up.
No, it's bad. Hey, look, most teams have learned that the week of Alabama is Bama Respect Week.
Oh yeah, always. You gotta respect it.
That's right.
Well, I'll ask another one. What is the what's the dumbest thing a player on your team ever said to Coach Saban?
Are you allowed to say that? Are you allowed to talk about that?
Pretty much all of us stay in our lane, man.
Nobody ever said anything dumb, and Coach just had to.
Nah, the dumbest thing I done heard was the guy on the interview not too long ago.
Oh yeah,
he was like, he says these and how about these, and he always talking about that's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Why did he say that?
Man, I don't know. That's why I say he won't ever get another interview.
No. He was sleeping. That dude was sleeping during those PR meetings, wasn't he?
That was his first and last interview, guys.
first and last.
I said, Miles, you better play good Saturday, buddy. Well,
Oh, yeah.
Jacobs had already busted him on it on the Dan Patrick show. I just didn't. I guess nobody had really called it.
All right.
Did he ever bust the D's nuts joke on you, Jalston?
Oh yeah, he'll walk around practice all day talking about how about thieves? That's his favorite thing to say. He'll say something like, "My pecker don't work anymore. I'm not getting any at home."
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Miss Terry locking him out, huh? Gotta love that.
Oh yeah.
That is great.
Hey, man.
Oh hell yeah. That's awesome. Man, it's awesome to hear. Look, he's the GOAT, but to also know that real side of Saban just makes you love him all that much more, man.
I ain't coaching. Hold on. I ain't coaching my baby boy right there finna play. Hold on, I'm finna show y'all my baby boy. Yep. He going out there to do the corn toss. Yeah, I'm doing the interview. You see him out there?
Tell him when he shakes that other team's hand, you give that firm grip and stare him down.
I mean, holla at you, though.
Intimidation.
You taught him how to. You got him growling at him when he shakes their hand, right?
Nah, I ain't got him growl. I'm let him. He got to find his own way. He got to find his own.
Come on, Nudie.
What they do in the Little Giants, they put that foaming stuff in their mouth. You got to have that going out there.
The Alka-Seltzer, yeah.
Yeah, put the Alka-Seltzer in your mouth.
Yeah. Justin, I have to ask you, man, how do you feel about B-Rob finally getting fed the ball this past week? And what's your overall impression of him? And now with Rordell Williams stepping up, what do you really expect to see out of this backfield, especially today?
Man, I love it, man. I actually talked to Brian, and I was just telling him, like, man, it's gonna come into full fruition for you. He was just like, man, I'm just gonna wait it out and do what I gotta do. I just told him just keep taking the little stuff and the big stuff will come. I text him that.
Cool.
I try to keep up with the guys and try to keep them on a positive note. And I just love how it come together. Like it always, for some reason, when the running game ain't going in the beginning of the season, by the middle of the season, or a couple games in, everything get to rolling.
I can definitely agree with that. Matter of fact, Trent Richardson said, he said, man, if you ain't running the ball, you ain't winning. And that's a huge staple in our offense. And we definitely got the horses to do it.
All right.
That's cool to hear that the former players are always there encouraging the new guys and stuff too. That's always as a football junkie, that kind of stuff always fills up my soul a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's just a brotherhood, man. I mean, you want the young guys to do good too.
What? And you learn that. Yeah.
I mean, it don't matter if you there or not. You always want the young guys to do good.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Just, you hear it with Marvin. You hear it with all you guys talking about. There's just like that Bama standard, that pride in Alabama, and wanting to see your legacy continue through the other guys is a really cool thing.
Oh yeah. We want them to win. We want them to do good. We want them to win championships so we can brag out here, no matter where we at. And that's the big
So
thing.
I got a good question.
And, everybody else might hate it, but we love it.
Well, I got one question for you, Jalston, because you were playing in a little bit of a different era than right now without this targeting business going on. And I would like to ask, do you think if they'd had targeting when you played, you'd have been the first offensive player to get thrown out of the game?
Nah, I won. I used my face, man. I ain't ducked my head in. If I duck my head, there's a possibility of me breaking my neck. Because I ain't gonna lie, I was trying to bless people.
Absolutely. Well, sometimes the hit's so hard you get targeting anyway, even if it was legal, And I saw a couple of years that were pretty violent.
Hey, not just him. Do y'all remember when we went to Starkville and Christian Jones laid out that kick returner? Yeah. I mean, that dude is still showing up on highlight reels and viral videos from that hit. Where he just dropped that guy.
Heck yeah.
Well, I remember when you come on to Alabama and man, it was almost not fair that you were a fullback because you got the speed of a tailback in that fullback body, and that's what, man, that combination was lethal.
Oh yeah, Dante used to tell me all the time, man, why you so big and that fast? I was like, no.
It ain't fair, man. I got to hit you every day.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. He used to always tell me that. Like, man, you too big to be that fast.
So you and Dante just colliding Hightower in practice all day. Good Lord.
Oh, yeah. Because, if you're not a starter, you're going to have to play against the first defense. You just got to wait your turn. So you going against good on good every day. So that's just going to make you a lot better when it's your turn.
So who was the hardest hitter on that Bama defense that year?
Come again?
Who was the hardest hitter on that Bama defense that year?
I think it was Dante, if I'm not
Looked
wrong.
like it.
Well, he was the size of a tank.
Yeah. Dante,
Well,
DJ. I mean, you had a couple guys, but I don't know. A lot of guys they didn't fear me, but they didn't like tackling me at practice. I didn't know that much.
I can't imagine why, Jalston. I mean, you're
Imagine why.
size of a defensive end running like a tailback at him. I don't imagine that was real fun. Well, where are y'all playing at?
Man, I was most times I was just trying to have fun out there. And sometimes that led to me stiff arming people, running people over. So
Hey, that's fun, right?
yeah, I had to make it fun somehow. I already wasn't playing like that, so I had to make it fun my way.
Well, where y'all at today, if you don't mind me asking, Jalston? Where's your kid playing at? Y'all in Alabama?
Yes, sir. We're in Alabama playing at Municipal Park.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Well, before we let you go, two things. One, if you will, give us the keys to the game tonight for an Alabama victory. And then when you've given us that, tell us what your most memorable play at Alabama was.
You just got to run the ball, keep the ball out of their hand. I mean, just control the game like Alabama usually do. Control the game, control the clock, and be able to run the ball. Then my most memorable moment was that Texas A&M game.
Awesome.
That was my favorite, like one of my favorite plays.
Awesome.
That was also one of my favorite moments ever too. It was my first time in Kyle Field. You definitely made that a great day for me, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Well, when are we going to get a Daniel Moore painting for that moment, man? Because that's one that definitely has to be captured.
Yeah, I want one. I'm looking for one.
Yeah, they could call that one setting future expectations.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jalston, man, we really appreciate you coming on today,
Absolutely.
especially to preview this game, which you made Texas A&M famous with that play we just talked about. Thank you again, man, and good luck to Little Man. Keep us updated on how he does today.
Yes, sir. We'll do.
Yeah, we'll keep a lookout on that rivals ranking. See where he starts getting recruited.
That's
All
right.
good, Bob.
Hey, man, thank you, Jalston. It was a pleasure to meet you, man. You were one of my favorite players.
You're welcome.
so-
Anytime, man.
Awesome.
Seriously,
Roll
man,
Tide.
awesome.
Roll Tide. See you, Jalston.
Wow.
Man,
Well, that was
stuff,
fun, guys.
man.
Yeah. All right.
He's
First,
a fun guy.
that was
Hey,
our
man.
first live guest on our new show, right?
I don't think I'd want to tackle him now.
No.
I think probably the biggest nugget I got from all that, of course, he gave us a lot of it, but was a story about Coach Saban and the D's nuts.
Oh,
in
that
practice.
was fantastic.
We see that it's an ongoing legacy amongst his
Well,
players.
it shows that the coach can't come
Consistency.
up with a new joke. He just going to consistently. He liked the D's nuts joke, like he likes his little Debbie cakes, and he's going to stick with it.
Well, let's just also pour one out for Miss Terry since it's not working anymore, you know?
Right? Exactly. The fact that we got
Is
this
that
morning-
why Jocks has so many of
That
those
was
ED
gold.
commercials?
Oh, yeah.
Every
I
time you
love
turn
it.
on,
things are starting to come together, aren't they? But what's really cool, speaking on that, man, it just shows you what kind of guy Coach Saban really is. I know the perception of him is not that great outside the Bama Nation. People just see him as this asshole. Just call it what it is. But that's
Robot.
not who he is at all. He's a coach on the field, demands a lot of his players. Yes, he does get pissed off in the media when they ask him dumb questions repeatedly. So, I mean, you got to kind of expect that. But off the field, man, he's probably one of the most down-to-earth, most caring, most loving, fun-loving guys as well. And anyone I've talked to who's had an association with him, man, they echo the same sentiment. They just love being around him and Miss Terry.
oh yeah, they're look, man. Because of what he's built, because of what you see in the facade, you only get not many people get that behind the scenes glance. But there's absolutely no doubt that there's another side to Coach Saban that's a really cool human side. And look, I'm glad that player busted it. He might have got his ass ran off, but thank you, Battles, for busting that, because it does give the rest of us a glimpse and a little more realization about that dude. That's kind of cool.
It's just us Bama fans that are annoying. Huh? We'll take that.
Well, Alan, I don't even know you, but okay, brother.
They're rough. Alan's down on the cut. He's he's like you, Justin. He's in Alabama, so he's an Ole Miss fan in enemy territory. And look, Mobile is a rough spot because there's a lot of the 85%ers down there, as I like to call them. You know, the 85% that have never been to Tuscaloosa.
Right. And the ones that call in the sports talk radio shows and make those of us who actually do things the right way look bad.
The good guys.
Yeah.
These
Yes,
look,
the
you
good
two
guys.
are the good guys, but he has to deal with the Feinbaum colors.
No. Yeah, there's a
And
lot
that's
of
what's
those
always
down
put
there.
on the forefront.
There's
Guys
a lot
like
of extra
us
spare
don't get
time
to be
on
on
the
the
beach.
forefront.
He has are they good? You got good Bama friends, Alan, or are they the 85%ers?
Yeah.
Look, I've got great. I'll tell you, the people I went to school with changed my perception of Alabama fans. They're not only some of the most knowledgeable football fans, they're good people. But they do like to let you know when they kick your ass. They're very prideful.
Well, Alan, it could be worse. You could be living in Montgomery.
Oh, Lee County.
99%, 85%ers. Nah.
Now we're gonna upset the Auburn base all over again.
Just
Man,
kidding.
stirring up
guys, just
all
kidding.
kinds of crap today, brother.
Yeah, we are. Look, man, I didn't get to.
Are you on Bloody Mary number 10?
This is number 3.
Number 3. Okay, number 3. Okay.
Number
Hey, Dana,
3.
You might want to send that new link to our other guests just to make sure they've got it real quick. Just throw that out there for you. It's in the private chat.
I'll send it to him again, but all right.
Yeah, the original link we had
because
yesterday
that link
wasn't
that you
working good.
Yeah, because that link you sent Jalston actually went to an OnlyFans account. What's that about?
Well, send it
Michael?
to me again, Michael.
Well, you got to make money somehow, guys. I mean,
I
Mike,
understand,
where's it?
brother.
It's the link I came in, right?
No, just
Ain't
take the
nothing wrong
link
with
that's in the
hustle.
private chat and send it. We don't have to talk about all this on the show, guys. All right, so as
Are
our
you not
next
drinking
guest-
Bloody Marys, Alan? Are you drinking yet? I mean, we play it. We kick off in an hour.
You kick off in an hour. And speaking of, that's what I wanted to bring you back to really quick was that Ole Miss Arkansas game. We haven't done a whole lot of time on that one yet, and our next guest is going to have a little bit of insights on that. So before he gets here, Pettey, you're our Ole Miss guy. Why don't you break us out the keys to the game? What have you seen in these matchups that you think is going to be the difference? And then we'll let Justin put you in your place.
Man, the key is how does Ole Miss rebound after Alabama? Do they let that game affect them? If they don't, I think they're the better football team. I think they're better offensively. Now, they are facing some injuries. I think Jerry and Ely's going to be out. He had a concussion from the Alabama game. Our starting left guard, Ben Brown, got a high ankle sprain and hasn't practiced all week. But Arkansas's dealing with injuries. They just went to Georgia and got popped. So it's how do we handle coming off a loss? I do think Matt Corral has this game circled because of the media narrative that came after it last year that really kind of hounded him. Keys to the game is Matt playing within himself, doing what he's done all year, not doing what he did against Alabama, but a lesser defense. Don't make mistakes. Keep your team in it. And I think the offense is going to have more opportunities than they did last week against Alabama. So, and look, this 3-2-6, I get it. It works against some teams, but it's not going to work against the power SEC teams. I hope that DJ Durkin, Ole Miss's defensive coordinator, has come up with some kind of scheme to load the box against Arkansas because KJ Jefferson cannot throw the ball. They cannot beat you through the air. They can beat you on the ground and by keeping your offense. So I want to see Ole Miss load the box. I want to see us stop the run, and if we can do that, I think Ole Miss can win this game pretty soundly.
Pretty solid. Justin? Correct.
Well, I mean, he's absolutely right. The biggest thing I'm looking at is who overcomes what happened to them the previous week. How does Ole Miss rebound mentally after losing that game to Alabama and in the fashion in which they did? What Ole Miss has to realize, and Arkansas too, but more so Ole Miss, is just because they lost to Alabama or one game in the SEC, that is not the end. That this is the SEC. If you lose one game and you win out, man, there's still an opportunity to make the college football playoff. So the stakes are very high, and they definitely need to realize that. So what I'm looking for on the Arkansas side, can they really bounce back after that beating? That is a hard thing, especially when they're trying to establish themselves. They're trying to prove to the nation that, hey, we're legit, and you should take us seriously, only to have only to be destroyed physically and mentally. So how can they bounce back from that, or is their will broken at this point? and they kind of pack it in and go back to being regular Arkansas. That is really the biggest thing I'm going to be watching for during this game, and to see if there's any way Arkansas can possibly open things up offensively.
Well,
they have one of the best
hate
wide
to break
receivers
in on you right here, Justin, but we have our guest.
No, you don't. You always interrupt us.
In the green
we
room.
got a guest this time.
Look, I tried to wait to like 7 pauses, but you have those dramatic pauses that I don't know when you're done or if we're getting it. So I'm going to bring in our new guest. And Pettey, would you like to introduce this guy?
Yeah, Zach Berry, with SB Nation's Red Cup Rebellion. That's Ole Miss's site under SB Nation, and he's also the lead recruiting writer for Rebel Grove, which is Ole Miss Rivals network. So, man, I reached out to him this week. Zach, I've watched you. I've listened to a ton of your podcasts, man. I really appreciate you coming on to give us some – look, we get so much of this Alabama shit. I'm glad to get some red and blue on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, it's hard not to talk about Alabama a lot because as we saw last week, they just they keep doing what they do. I think Ole Miss was humbled for sure, and I was pretty shocked, to be honest. I thought Ole Miss would play a lot better up front. I think Nick Saban certainly had his hands on the defensive game plan going into that week. You could kind of tell that. I don't think Saban would admit it, but it was a little personal. He wanted to make sure that Lane Kiffin wasn't even remotely close to being the first assistant to beat him. But going into this Arkansas game, you talk about something that's personal. I think this one's been circled for a long time for both Kiffin and Matt Corral after last year with the 6 interceptions. And I think that gets a lot of the pub from last year's game. But I think a lot of people forget that Ole Miss was in that football game and had a chance to win despite all the turnovers. So a couple pick sixes for Arkansas really put it away. I look for Ole Miss to try to make a statement at 11 a.m. And it's back-to-back 11 a.m. long road trip kicks for Arkansas. And this is going to be their first real test at quarterback with Matt Corral. So should be a good one.
Man, I kind of agree with you. I was talking just before you came on. What you got in your cup? You just drinking a Coke, or have you started pre-gaming?
No, Saturday morning cocktail?
Just sponsored by Starbucks. So some good folks from Seattle. So
man, look, and I know I've been kind of trained under the Rivals McCready thought of trying to not blow smoke, but I am a Rebel fan, and I've read what y'all. I listened to your podcast with Red Cup, and I agree, man. It's hard not to. I know Arkansas kind of became a media darling after beating Texas, but still, and then beating a Texas A&M team really bumped it up, which that Texas A&M team's proven to be one of the worst offenses in the SEC. So what did that say? Well, they go to Arkansas and really got popped, where Ole Miss. I was telling them earlier, it's hard to compare blowout losses, but Ole Miss was still fighting in that game in Tuscaloosa, where Arkansas had no fight. And again, like you said, Corral, after the narrative that came out of that Arkansas game last year, and we still had a chance to win. That's never really talked about. I honestly see this game. I could see Ole Miss. Again, this is Homer, and I know doing this as an Ole Miss fan gets you kicked in the nuts more than not, but I see Ole Miss having a chance to make a statement today, like you said.
Yeah, and that Arkansas, and I'll say this: I've given Sam Pittman a lot of props the last couple of weeks. He's done a fantastic job. Year 2, they were a disaster when he got there. But if you're looking at it from a black and white X and O's perspective, Texas was playing the wrong quarterback in that game. I don't know if it would have mattered because Arkansas damn near played a perfect game. Casey Thompson's giving him a lift offensively now. I don't know if y'all talked about it yet. I still like Oklahoma in that game today, but Texas's offense is completely different. And then Texas A&M is just, man, you want to talk about disaster. I don't know if it's to that point yet, but talk about Ed Orgeron, dead man walking.
Yeah,
Jimbo could be right there. I don't think it's a fireable offense this season, but he's got to be able to have a better quarterback in Texas A&M. In Texas, I should say, getting paid $98 million, and he can't find somebody better than Zach Calzada.
And I know he's your backup, but Haynes King didn't look like he was all that. He looked like a very, very poor man's lanky Johnny Manziel when he played.
And he's a freshman, so I was expecting some bumps in the road. But I mean, he's far more talented, had higher expectations than Calzada, who was the backup. But
Yeah.
I mean, A&M is just, they have a defense that on paper looks to be really solid, and they're just having to stay on the field so long.
Get more now.
Isaiah Spiller is probably still the best running back in the league, but the offensive line's young. They're having to replace a ton up front. We were joking about it on our show this week that, Spiller and a couple of the guys that have some NFL draft aspirations, we might be seeing some turf toe stuff coming up here in the next couple of weeks. They might, if things keep going south, they might want to start getting ready for the combine.
And you couldn't blame them. And like you said, I wrote about it. I do an article, a weekly dumb article called Pettey's Pointless Ponderings. And one of the big point of the ponderings was the hot seat that's kind of popping up at the SEC. When you're spending that kind of money on Jimbo, that was to compete with Saban at Alabama. That wasn't to lose to Mississippi State and even Ole Miss. I mean, they've lost a lot of games at Kyle Field that shouldn't even, should have been guarantees with the money they're spending and the talent they should have at their disposal. And they're just not getting over that hump. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it is bizarre because you're in the state of Texas, and, with quarterback is one of the things that's so baffling to me. All the talent in that state at that position. Quinn Ewers is already at Ohio State. Cade Klubnik is going to Clemson, who suffered a shoulder injury last night in his game. So best wishes to him in a quick recovery. But I mean, there's so much talent in that state at quarterback, and they can't seem to find the right fit. I mean, I know Kellen Mond, it took him a while, but he kind of hit his stride late in his career. And the thing that's so crazy about that was it random A&M tangent here, but it took Kellen Mond 4 years to pass Johnny Manziel's total yards record that he put up in 2 years.
Wow.
So that just, if you want to know how good Johnny Manziel was. But, Kellen Mond was a 5-star. He was a top 10 player, and it took him, damn near year 4 before he really got things going. They whined and cried about being a fringe playoff team a year ago, and then, now what they have on the field, the product they put out there is pretty poor. Losing to Mississippi State last week was bad.
Yeah.
I think State has a really good defense. Zach Arnett's done a fantastic job with that defense, but the offense is just, man, they just check down you to death. And all the talent that A&M has on that defense, and they weren't able to figure out a way to stop it, was pretty shocking. I'll be honest. I thought they'd win that football game with the run game.
Yep. Well, the good defenses have figured out Leach's offense, so you would expect that. It's crazy. It's an odd deal out at A&M outside of the L practices and their cheerleaders. It's just a weird deal.
Yeah, it was who was it that put out he had the quote. It was the old Washington defensive coordinator. His last name's Lake. I can't remember his first name, but he basically had a quote where he was like, Mike Leach hasn't changed anything.
No.
Like, we just watch old film and we figured it out. So
yeah. So it's baffling when a team like A&M doesn't have the talent to stop it. Very, very insane.
Yeah, it's puzzling. So
one of our Rebel Grovers is giving you a little bit of grief. Says Zach Berry coming to us live from the Batcave.
Yeah, I'm in my basement down here. Got my nice exposed stone here. So,
well, Zach, man, I know you. And look, I'm not asking for ins and outs. Actually, I want to know exactly where the hell this kid is going to sign, and you're going to tell us today. Look, covering recruiting. It's 16, 17-year-old kids telling people whatever they want to hear. It's the same thing year after year. But every once in a while, there is a recruit that comes on that has a name attached to him that's a little bigger than others. And you happen to be covering a school that this recruit is attached to. But the flip side is teams like Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Clemson all have their – what is it like as someone who covers recruiting following this Arch Manning thing where there's new crap coming out every day and you have a fan base that's hanging on every word that you cover?
It's one of the more unique recruitments because people are just, I think, having to create content just out of thin air. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's starting to take his visits. So if folks are lucky enough to talk with him and talk with Cooper, they can get some quotes there. But he doesn't do social media. I know Lane Kiffin follows him on Instagram. I don't know if he followed him back. But
he's not big on following people back. My daughter tried to follow him, and he didn't follow her back. I'm trying to hook that up.
Okay. Yeah, so he's not doing the typical, he doesn't tweet out offers. He doesn't tweet out where he's going. He doesn't do anything really. So they're pretty buttoned up. So it's actually a challenge to cover the recruiting, to actually talk to people that are in the know, that are around New Orleans, around Isidore Newman, around the Manning Passing Academy, and just talk to national guys that have a lot of sources all over the place. And, the two schools that continue to stay out front, and he's got some visit bumps. He went to Georgia, and everybody, he had a great time at Georgia, and then he was at Alabama, and, man, he had a wonderful time at Tuscaloosa. And, it's not exactly breaking news here, but everybody has great times on their official visits, on their unofficial visits. I mean, it's very rare that visits go poorly. I mean, you're getting wine and dined. You're going to a college football game. You get a front row seat. I mean, who wouldn't have a great time? So
Hugh Freeze really knew how to do it.
Yeah, it's not to say that the experience he had at Alabama or Georgia was not fun or not great, because I'm sure it was. He saw two great football games. But the two schools that continue to be out front are Texas and Ole Miss. I think the Ole Miss really made a jump in July when he came in for his unofficial visit, and he had his first legitimate sit-down talk with Lane Kiffin and Jeff Levy. He had never really met them before, just kind of in passing, saying hello. He never really sat down and talked with them. And they sat down for about 3 to 4 hours, watched film, talked about what they do offensively, talked about how he would fit, all of that. And I think that really resonated with him and Cooper. And that was something that I think has propelled Ole Miss to really be a serious contender here, because for a while it was really Texas, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, and then Ole Miss was kind of right there, towards the bottom, maybe third or fourth. But I think the appeal of playing for Lane Kiffin, who has shown the ability to put guys in the NFL. You look at some of the recent guys that he's recruited. Mac Jones is doing a nice job with the Patriots right now. And, the guys that he coached at Southern Cal obviously had successful pro careers, were able to go on to the NFL and get some snaps. So
I think he got Barkley drafted first.
Yeah, I mean, he's there's no doubting what he can do. And he's one of the most respected offensive minds in the country, if not the top offensive mind in the country. And again, like I said earlier, I think you could see that with the game plan that Nick Saban put together. And I legitimately think that he was very involved in prep for that week, because that's how much he respects Lane Kiffin. And
absolutely.
I think people are starting to give Kiffin a lot of credit for transforming Alabama's offense. I mean, they are no longer the I formation, 3 yards in a cloud of dust Alabama offense. I mean, they are as progressive as it gets. They're running spread offense. They're throwing it. I mean, Mac Jones set the world on fire last year, and Devontae Smith wins the Heisman. I mean, if you had told me 10 years ago that Alabama would have a receiver win the Heisman Trophy, I would say you're insane. So
yeah,
it's a long way to go. I think he's going to commit early, probably March, April of next year, just to get it out of the way so he can focus on recruiting others to join him and focus on his senior season. But for now, I think it's probably Texas and Ole Miss up front. And then I would probably say Georgia, Alabama are probably tied for right there. I don't think he's really looking at Clemson as hard as he was earlier this summer for whatever reason. That's just kind of what I'm hearing from some national sources and folks around New Orleans. But he really likes Austin. He went there for his unofficial, liked going to Austin, Texas. He likes Sark and his, I guess his track record of offenses. And
what I'm assuming Sark kind of provides what Lane did on that day. Sark can sit there and talk X's and O's with him and blow his.
Yeah.
They're a lot
absolutely. And, he recruits quarterbacks well. I mean, you see what they've done now with Casey Thompson playing quarterback. They've started to really put up some points, and they're exciting. And it's kind of a little bit similar to what Kiffin offers. It's a a fresh start. It's a new era at a program, and kids like Arch Manning that are 5 stars, they want to be a part of something new. They want to be a part of, hey, this is the team, or this is the year that program really took off, and that can be appealing to 5 stars. Then again, if I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, the proven product of Alabama and Georgia could also be pretty enticing, to where it's like, hey,
come win a championship.
I know I'm going to have great players around me. I'm going to have a chance to compete for a spot in the college football playoff. And I mean, you can't ever knock anyone choosing to go play for Nick Saban or to go play for a Kirby Smart team that's going to have, 80 something 4 and 5 stars.
Let me ask you a question about that. Now, let's say that you're a Manning, Arch, or any of the other guys that'll be advising him, right? Mm-hmm. And they start talking about going to Georgia, and you are watching them, number one, lose Justin Fields to Ohio State. You're watching them have one of the most anemic, old-school 1970s passing games that we've ever seen. Would you send your stud kid there to play football?
That's interesting that you bring that up, because that's something that I've talked to folks about, is what exactly is Todd Monken telling him? What's the sales pitch? Because they're going to have the blue chip running back. They're going to have one of the best offensive lines in the country. They're probably on the verge of flipping a Lou Bow, who's committed to Florida State. I think Georgia's going to flip him. He's from IMG. He's just your standard high school kid that's 6'6", 350. I remember when I was that big in high school. So
absolutely. We're all created equal.
Nothing crazy, but so that's probably what Georgia's selling him, is the culture of winning, and you're going to have the best players around you. Now, Alabama on the flip side is the same thing, but also look at our offense. Look at what we have developed, and you can just kind of plug and play yourself in here, throw to the best receivers in the country. You're also probably going to have a really good running back, and we're going to have a good defense. Kiffin's kind of a little bit of a merge between those two, where it's like, look, we have that offense that Alabama has. Like, Kiffin can basically say, I'm the reason they have that offense. Mm-hmm. And he can say, obviously you have the family ties here. You have that whole thing. Your grandfather, your uncle, your father was going to play here before, unfortunately, he had to retire from football. But, you can continue that legacy. He's going to be in town for the LSU game when they retire his uncle's number. Going to be a zoo for that game. It's going to be pretty wild, and I don't think that they're going to, because Kiffin and the staff, they don't do the push for commitment thing, and I don't think Arch would even consider doing it at that game. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be the red carpet. They're going to throw everything they got at him, where it's like, hey man, look at the atmosphere we got here, look at the program, the momentum that we have going in year 2. Come be a part of something different, and try to really establish yourself and set yourself apart from going to a proven program.
Yeah. Well, there's one important thing that I want to mention here, and I think that Arch Manning should call a guy named Joe Burrow and ask him what it's like being surrounded by talent with a terrible offensive scheme, and how much better it is when you've got a good passing game coordinator named Joe Brady in there.
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
Talent's not all.
Yeah, that's funny you bring that up, because you see some national folks that continue to mention LSU, and I don't think LSU is in this at all.
No, I think they're doing that just because you see the national. It's like Dan Patrick. It just shows a lack of knowledge and really what's going on in recruiting.
Well, now in our show, we have predicted that Coach O is going to go the exact pattern of Coach Gene Chizik. That's why we call him Coach O Chizik. And we believe that his savior offensive coordinator, who left for my Carolina Panthers, is going to be a hot name coming up when they leave Coach O on the tarmac in Oxford this year.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Do you think O makes it through the season?
I don't.
You think he gets cut? I mean, we kind of joked earlier in the show today that, man, I think it's not a if. He's already fired. Now it's if he loses at Kentucky, which game are they going to pull the plug?
I mean, the final nail could be when he's in Oxford.
That's Michael's prediction. He's been saying it for 2 years that he's getting left in Oxford next year.
I do.
I mean-
Right after the national championship game in 2019, when Joe Brady left the team, that's when we made this prediction. It was like episode 23 of our podcast. We
Like, here's
basically said
the next Gene Chizik.
Coach O. Chizik, right here.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's unraveling right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on a talk show this week and he threatened to kill a guy.
Yeah, threatened to kill a guy.
How did I miss
So-
that? That's
Oh, no.
fantastic.
Some guy went off on the pictures with the girl, the blind girl or something, and Coach O said, down in Louisiana, we got a watering hole for folks like you. Like, dude.
Yeah. So, LSU's in real trouble. I mean, I think Derek Stingley's done. I think he's done for the year, and he's going to start getting ready for the NFL. I mean, I think he has to get ready for the NFL because he doesn't really have a lot of tape recently to show NFL scouts. So I think he needs to get ready to prove that he's a first-round guy at the combine.
Yeah.
Well, the tape he does have, Devontae Smith owned him. Matter of fact, I think
Here comes
Devontae Smith had to pay child support because that is his kid now.
Yeah, I mean, he was outstanding as a true freshman, and really that was when he put his name out there and kind of introduced himself to the world. And then he was banged up all last year, and this year, same thing. So I honestly didn't think that LSU would be this bad. I actually thought Max Johnson really came on last year and was a pretty solid quarterback. I mean, Ole Miss had one of the worst defenses in the country, but still put up monster numbers against them in a torrential downpour. And once Miles Brennan went down, I was all right. There's no quarterback competition. Like, it's his team. But they're outside of Kayshon Boutte, I mean, they just don't have any playmakers, and it's almost eerily similar to when Les Miles was there, and it was when the writing was on the wall, and you were like, okay, when is this team going to quit? When is this team going to just basically say, okay, we're not really playing for anything anymore? At this point, we're competing for, a Liberty Bowl or, something like that. And
which does not fly in Red Stick.
No. So it's bad. I think they lose to Kentucky this week. I think Kentucky's that's a hell of a ball club. They really showed something last week against Florida. And I really like what they're doing at quarterback, and the new offensive coordinator. Every time I talk about them, I can never remember his name. But they throw the football downfield now, which is pretty rare for Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, Stoops has just done you want to talk about somebody that needs all the credit in the world. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job up there in Lexington. I mean, they haven't turned the page to basketball season at all.
Well, no, man, and it's they haven't won every game very pretty, but they just keep winning. And then you expected, because they were winning so ugly, that, okay, so Florida's going to come up here and pop them in the mouth. Well, they played ugly and won that one. Sometimes that's just who a team is. They win ugly games, and they have the ability to do that week in and week out. And I think got to give Stoops credit, man. He's got to be one of the better coach uppers, however the hell you want to say that.
It looks like we got a question from the Bama Standard over there, and well, they didn't pass the Bama test, that's for sure, but I believe that has nothing to do with it. I'd like to get y'all's take on it. I think Coach O's just not a very good head coach.
No, Bama started a thing called the Bama test, or that I coined the Bama test, and look, every year they lose coaches, they lose players, and they just damn replace them. Well, LSU got in that spot, and LSU brings in talent. They've recruited like Alabama. They're a top 5 recruiting, and the question was, can they do, after O won it and finally got over the hump? He didn't get over a hump. He just got lightning in a bottle. Well, that's the Bama test. Can you replace all those coaches? Can you replace Joe Burrow? Can you replace Solaire, the running back? And he failed the Bama test. Not many people do pass it. Look, Clemson's a great example, man. They were the Bama-Clemson dynasty. This is back and forth, and it's starting to derail, and Bama's still going, man. It's hard to do that, year after year, what they're doing. It's insane. But, man, we got sidetracked.
Yeah, it's just I told some people in 2019, and look, LSU deserves all the credit in the world. I mean, Coach O made those hires, and you have to give him some credit. But when you see what they're doing now, and especially when you talk to Ole Miss fans, and it's like, well, we could have told you this was going to happen. And look, he's older now. He's been a head coach longer, but when he was hired at Ole Miss, it was just a rushed trying to grab some weird headline by the
Well,
Auburn
USC was the hot
administration.
name at the time, and everybody was grabbing the Sarkeesians, the Kiffins were all becoming hot names, and we got the fifth string of that.
Yeah, so it was
The
just,
line coach.
It was rushed. He wasn't ready, and then, now, we make the joke about how he's, threatening to throw somebody in the swamp. I mean, it just shows that he
Still
truly
not ready.
hasn't learned anything. I mean, if we're coming full circle talking about Ole Miss, I mean, Hugh Freeze is the same way. I mean, he's not going to get another big-time coaching job. He hasn't learned anything. He still searches his name on Twitter and is still replying to people and DMing people, thoughts and prayers or whatever. He's still.
Oh, man. Barry McCockiner is the greatest Twitter moment of all time. If you don't know, look up Barry McCockiner telling Hugh Freeze that he had a relative overdose of marijuana, and Hugh Freeze responded, thoughts and prayers. Greatest Twitter moment of all time. Yeah, but he hasn't learned. These coaches, you would think that, and that's the great thing. I'll say this, kind of full circle about Kiffin, where it looks like Orgeron hasn't learned, where it looks like Freeze hasn't learned his lesson. It does kind of look like Kiffin learned some shit when he was in the capstone. It looked like he picked some stuff up.
Hey, I'm glad you said that. I really wanted to mention the fact that Hugh Freeze had an opportunity to go to the Nick Saban School of Coaching Rehabilitation, but I don't think the SEC was on board. Isn't that right?
They were not. They were not.
No. They wanted Freeze, and I think the SEC said for once told Saban negative Ghost Rider.
Wonder how Freeze would have turned out if that had gone the other way.
God, I don't want Freeze messing with y'all's offense. Look, I don't think Freeze can run a full program, break it down, but Zach, can you not agree? I don't want Freeze running an offense at Alabama.
I mean, this is a Hugh Freeze offense that managed 3 points in the first half against UAB last week.
Ooh, true.
True.
But Malik Willis is overrated. That dude can't throw.
No,
yeah,
they couldn't throw.
he's basically, I think he's like a bigger Nick Marshall.
Yeah.
He can't really throw the ball downfield well, but he's a hell of a runner. He's an absolute load. If they just ran, honestly, if Freeze, hit up his good buddy Gus Malzahn, which that whole friendship was so overblown. But
yeah,
I mean, if they just ran that offense that he had with Nick Marshall, Liberty would probably be more effective offensively. But yeah, I mean, Freeze still likes to just get too cute at times. He tries to be the smartest guy in the room and not just stick with what got you there, or just, keep it simple, stupid. And, he can get, everybody saw at Ole Miss what he liked to do in the red zone, where he'd bring in, Jeremy Liggins, or he'd do some cute wide receiver pass. And he does a lot of that stuff that's still kind of, almost high schoolish, where, just run the football or just stick with the game plan instead of trying to, outsmart someone. Malik Willis is a good enough athlete to just use his legs and get him outside the pocket to create, and he still somehow manages to screw that up. So I getting off Freeze here, I don't think he'll ever get another big time job, just going back to his whole personality and how he hasn't changed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, man, I know, Zach, I know you got a friend coming in and you got only a short amount of time. I think Justin wanted to ask one question that'll light up half of the damn Ole Miss fan base and piss off the other half of Rebel Grove. So this ought to be funny. And then we'll get a prediction.
Well,
all right,
yeah, not following the Ole Miss situation as closely as I should, just because I'm not an avid fan. But John Reese Plumlee has been moved to wide receiver, and he's a hell of an athlete. And I thought that he would get more opportunities and different packages at that position this year, but you really haven't seen a lot of that until the game is way out of hand. When will we actually see more of him, in meaningful minutes, or do they plan to do it at all?
I honestly thought he would be utilized more last week, but the line of scrimmage was just an absolute massacre. And that game got out of hand so quickly that Kiffin and them just, I think they were just like, we just got to get out of here. Even last week, they didn't have a chance to do anything offensively. They really couldn't open up the playbook or be, because it was pretty vanilla the first 3 games of the season. They really didn't have to do too much. I think if you ask Kiffin and Jeff Lebby, what the game plan was against Alabama. I think they were wanting to open things up and try to do some things they hadn't shown on film, but because you get down 28-35-0, you can't really do that. So I don't know if he'll be in the game plan at all today. You might see him probably being utilized some in the slot just because of some injuries at receiver, and they're just trying to find some playmakers. Jerry Neely's in concussion protocol. He's questionable for today. So they might try to get him out there just to have some speed on the outside and just get him the ball in space. But, I mean, he's just learning a new position. It's, even somebody as athletic and talented as him, it's hard to just pick up being a wide receiver in Power 5 football. So,
right.
I don't think it's an indictment on him. He can't figure out the position, or he's just not good enough. I think it's just taking some time.
Right.
Now he is talented enough to where you just get him the football and let him do something. Maybe they do utilize him today in the Arkansas game because, like I said, they've got some injury problems. They're just trying to find guys that can make plays. He's certainly not going to be a factor at quarterback, but I think down the road, if the injuries, if Jonathan Mingo is out for the year and can't go, I think you'll see him more and more in the slot and just kind of in some certain packages to just get him the ball and just try to see if he can create something offensively.
Got it.
Awesome.
Got it. Well, Zach, we're getting close to the end of our time. And before we let you go, I've got to say something about Week 0 sports and how we are sometimes a little bit stupid and how some poor guy named ZACK Barry over in Georgia got a little tag on Twitter yesterday. Despite the fact that I asked Pettey how to spell your name 8 times and for your profile. So we want to say a big thank you. I mean, a big we're sorry for that. And thank you for still coming on.
Thanks for coming on after I was a dumbass yesterday, Zach.
Well, the folks at Starbucks got it right, so that's good.
Oh, man.
It happens, man. It happens.
Starbucks setting the bar too high for us, man.
Crazy ass day yesterday, man. I felt bad about that. Then Michael just rode my ass for about an hour, and I sent you about 20 messages. But all right, man, we really appreciate you coming on, Zach. We'd love to have you again. Final prediction: what's going to happen today?
I said Corral, I think, is really had this one circled. I think he's really wanting to make a statement. After last week, the Heisman odds came back out. And, Bryce Young's at even odds right now, and Corral's right behind him at like plus 150. So, I don't think he would ever admit that his personal goal is to try to win the Heisman, but you can't ignore the hype around that. So I think if he can keep pace and put up good numbers, and Ole Miss can win some football games, and with really the lack of any other playmaker in the country. I mean, I think right now it's just Bryce Young and Matt Corral, and then there's just a bunch of dudes behind him. I think he's going to have a big game today. I think there's going to be a good atmosphere inside the stadium. There's going to be a decent crowd for an 11 a.m. kick. And I think Kiffin is wanting to really make a statement coming off of, getting humbled in Bryant-Denny last week. And like I said, back-to-back 11 a.m. long road trips for Arkansas, and they haven't really seen a legitimate quarterback this season. I anticipate Corral and the offense doing some things that they haven't done this season. They haven't put anything on film that Arkansas could really work on. And I think Ole Miss wins this one. I expect it to be high scoring. Ole Miss has some tackling issues. There was a stat that was thrown out in an analytic piece that I did. It was pretty crazy and just kind of shows how good Brian Robinson is. They were only surrendering 1.5 yards before contact against Alabama. Wow. So if you look at that, the defense was in position all day.
They just weren't getting him down.
Just weren't making tackles. So
that's what we've been talking about with that Ole Miss defense for 2 years. I'm going to tell you something. The scheme's good. The scheme's there. Last year, you'd have middle linebackers getting run over by a tailback in the hole, and then they'd run it 80 yards for a touchdown. Y'all have kind of put the brakes on that a little bit by improving your talent level a little bit. If you guys keep improving like that, next year is going to be a dangerous year for the SEC from those Ole Miss Rebels. I'm 100% believer in that. But before you go, Alan, I like how he's helping us run the show here, because he was like, hey, let's let this man plug his podcast before we go. And
Mobile Rebs, I believe.
But he's
Yeah.
clearly a big fan of your podcast, and we are too, and we want you to tell all of our fans about your stuff so they can go out and listen.
Yeah, Alan, appreciate that. Yeah, real quick, if you need a prediction, I'd say 41-30 Ole Miss.
Woohoo! Hotty toddy.
I think it's high scoring, and I think that with Traylon Burks is banged up, he's kind of really their only weapon on the outside at receiver. I think Ole Miss just kind of outscores Arkansas here. So yeah, that would be a cover. I think that would hit the over too. But yeah, so I expect Ole Miss to win today. But yeah, check out my work, rebelgrove.com. Myself and the publisher at Rebel Grove, Neil McCready, we do a recruiting podcast once a week, The Soft Verbal.
It's awesome.
Presented by the College Corner. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. And then if you want a little more laid back, a little more humor added to your football coverage, you can check us out at redcuprebellion.com. And then we do, anywhere from 2 to 3 shows a week at Podcast Rebellion. You can find that wherever you get your podcast.
As a non-Ole Miss fan, I just want to say you can absolutely enjoy Red Cup Rebellion without being an Ole Miss fan. It's a good show.
Yeah. We were doing the hard-hitting things this week, trying to find a fourth quarter hype song. And,
all the good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah.
Man, I have some deep thoughts on that too. I should have weighed in.
What's your fourth quarter hype song?
Man, I want Onyx Slam.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
I know that's older. I don't know. But that's an older '90s rap song.
It's got that drop though.
Slam. Da, 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 da. I don't know. That was mine.
It's
that's one.
No, back in '92.
It's an interesting question because you have to find the perfect marriage of a good upbeat song that can get people excited, but also one that people can sing along to.
And the one that kids are like not. Oh, the players aren't like. Oh,
everybody
hell,
needs
this?
to know it. Yeah, that's
I think I've settled on "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen.
That's the happiest song in the history of the world. It's been
Yes!
proven with science. That is the happiest song ever written.
Nailed it.
You can sing along. It's upbeat enough to get people excited. The "Don't Stop Me Now" theme plays into we got one more quarter left, so.
100. I'm on it.
I'm telling you,
didn't know
start playing that song at a funeral and everybody starts taking their shirt off and throwing out drinks, man. That's a great one.
I mean, look, if you can't get hype listening to Freddie Mercury, then I can't help you.
Hell yes.
True story.
I'm all about Don't Stop Me Now.
True story.
Man,
Well,
Zach.
awesome, man. Thank you again. Please come back to our show sometime. We really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Next time we got a big game for Ole Miss or something, we'd definitely love to talk to you again.
Every Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks again for having me, and I'd be happy to come back.
All right,
Thanks,
everybody
Zach.
take a listen to Red Cup Rebellion and what was the other one? Soft Verbal. All right. See you later, Zach. Thanks again, and sorry about messing up your name on that Twitter post.
That's me.
It's all good. Thanks, guys.
Zach with
See
an
y'all.
H.
All right, guys, that was a lot of fun. Let's get us back into feature mode here so we can just see everybody. You guys enjoyed that?
Hell yeah.
We got some good insights.
Hey, Pettey.
Zach, man, Zach brought it.
Yeah.
That's
he did. Hey, even though you misspelled his name, just take joy in the fact that Gary on CBS will always mispronounce more names than you probably will ever misspell.
Ever.
Hey, Justin Riley just pointed it out. I fucked up Zach's name, but Gary Danielson is rich and
is everybody.
famous and
Yeah.
can't get nobody's name right.
He gets paid to do this and screw
He
it
gets
up.
paid. I'm an effing amateur.
No doubt. Speaking of effing amateurs, guys, make sure you are subscribed to the Week 0 podcast, guys. Do not miss that. It comes out every Wednesday or Thursday morning, depending on how lazy we are or how much we've got going on. But you'll always have it by Thursday morning. And you need to also go over to YouTube and subscribe to Mr. Justin Riley's channel. Make sure
Absolutely.
you do not miss the Bama Standard on Tuesday nights. Tell them what's coming up this week.
Listen, it is perhaps the biggest show we've ever
Yes.
had. I mean, I'm just going to be flat out honest with you. And if anyone has followed us along for our journey thus far, we've had some pretty big names. But this Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Bo Scarborough, but also one of the most hardest-hitting linebackers to ever play for the University of Alabama. Matter of fact, I think that Leonard Fournette still has nightmares about
The
him.
missile.
And he probably, if you say his name around Leonard Fournette, he probably pees a little bit.
Yes,
To be honest.
absolutely.
The man
Absolutely.
I'm referring to is Reuben Foster. So this is going to be a pretty big deal. Alabama fans have been on Pete Golding the whole year about the defense, with the exception of last Saturday. And Marvin has not been nonstop about the defense. Well, we get to hear.
I got a shirt for Marvin.
We get to hear the thoughts of a man that played linebacker at Alabama when we were still playing up to the Bama standard. So we'll get to hear his thoughts on our defense. Of course, Bo Scarborough, studying himself, is going to talk about B-Rob. He's worked a lot with B-Rob in the offseason.
Ah, cool.
So, yeah, he's got a close relationship with him there.
T-Town boys.
And, just get some analysis from both these guys, guys who actually play the game, not just a bunch of gooftards who decide to get together and make a podcast.
So who you say? I know everything.
Right.
And I'm talking about y'all.
He's a genius.
I'm talking about
I don't know
me.
why I'm
And
here.
then, matter of fact, that's why I have Marvin Constant and Stephen M. Smith
Absolutely.
on our show, because they actually know what they're talking about and can give you an insight from a player's perspective. Where I'm just there, being around legends, and Steve Brown is making y'all laugh. So yeah.
Steve Brown's a funny guy. It's a funny guy. Make sure you guys hear that show coming up, y'all. And we really appreciate all you that stuck around and listened to this entire little broadcast of ours. We're going to try to do it every week. We may not all three always be here, and I'm saying
we'll be here
because I know I'm not going to be here at the end of the month. But I might do it on location like some of these other guys do. If I do that.
Hey man, we got Jalston in on the phone. We can get you in at the Music Fest.
Yep, absolutely. So tune in next week. Thanks to Workspace Solutions for all the production, and we will see you guys later.
Hotty toddy.
Roll Tide.